Hello and welcome to Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. We are pumped to be here. It is opening night hockey. The puck has dropped. Early games already started between the Blackhawks and the Panthers. Couple periods in, we're at the third here. We'll bring you up to date on that as we get going. But joining me right now, we're going to have some special guests throughout the night. So stick with us. We'll be talking. We're going to be here until about 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central Time. I've got my co-host, Bryan Clark, Aaron Tometich, and our fearless leader, Jorge, also joining us. And we got some other guys going to come on throughout the evening. Fellas, how are we doing? Are we pumped for hockey or what?
Right now, for me, JT, it's Christmas morning. I've been actually thinking about this for the past 2 months, 3 months. Got through all the fantasy football draft. Didn't really care about those. This is what I really care about. We actually have hockey. We actually have fantasy hockey. We have gambling as well. I can't wait to actually get going tonight.
Speaking of that, we are going to get into quickly. We've got 2 later games coming on. We want to get your bets in. So if you're looking to get bets, we are going to jump in to our NHL bets. But before we do that, we want to say thank you to our friends over at Autotown for being tonight's sponsor. Go check out Autotown. Even if you do not live in Illinois, they're located in Champaign, Illinois, but you can get cars all over the country. They will ship to you. They will find you what you want. Anything you need, car, truck, SUV, motorcycle, they can find it all and they can get it to you, or you can pick it up. They do business all over the country. Check them out at autotownonline.com. autotownonline.com. Thanks to Ben Dyer, the owner, our buddy over there at Autotown, for helping us out tonight. And check them out. I've got my last 5 cars from them. They do fantastic work. They take care of you. Great stuff over there. High-end used vehicles, great prices. So check out our friends over there at Autotown in Champaign, Illinois at autotownonline.com. And just remember, you do not have to be in Illinois. They can take care of you all over the country. So check those guys out. Now we got a few, not too long before the second game tonight starts. So let's jump into it, fellas. Let's get into our NHL bets. What are we thinking for of these later games? We're going to talk about betting all night. So let me just put that out. We're going to talk about our bets all night. We did our betting show last week, but we are going to talk about those later on. But before, we want to get the live games in for you tonight. Let's talk about those. What do we got tonight, fellas?
All right, JT, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. I got 3 bets I want to go with my toast takes tonight. I'm going to save the best for last. Okay, so first, I had a lotto goal parlay of the day, and I like to do those about every single night. This one is at plus 54.53, so a long shot, right? A lotto ticket. But I got Evan Rodriguez for Florida with a goal. Not looking great right now. They're in the third period with 9 minutes left. It's 3-2-4 to lead. Alexis Lafreniere for New York Rangers as well. And then Valerie Nichushkin for Colorado. All 3 of those together at plus 54.53, $5 to win $250.
Love that one. Love that one. Aaron, anything you like in these last 2 games? Anything you got? Or did you have a bet in this game that is on? I know I was on the over in this game. It's 5.5. It's 5 right now between Florida and Blackhawks. 3-2 with about 8:45 left in the third. I need one more goal. Anything you had in this game, including night games, or anything you like in these last 2 games?
Yeah, I did have a bet. I've already cashed. But before I get to that, Nichushkin, I mean, again, the Russians, this guy, you never stop, Toast. You know, of course, it just opening night. You waited all the offseason. You just can't wait to get a bet in to get the get the Russians out there. So I should have seen it coming. Honestly, like anybody listening, like we don't talk about the bets till we go live. There's a little bit more build up to it. Like we don't know what each other's going to say, but I should have seen that one coming. But yeah, JT, to your question, I already cashed. I'm on house money for the entire night. Frankie Nazar, anytime goal. It was a plus 375 when I bought into that. So quick little sneaky little $10 bet. It's going to cover the rest of the bets tonight. But what I like for the games coming up, so those that maybe listening live, we still have a pretty close here to the puck drop of Rangers in Pittsburgh. But I got JT Miller at +3 shots. Gino, getting Malkin anytime goal, and I've got the Rangers money line, Rangers to win at home at a +850. So not quite the long shot you had there, Toast. I think a little bit more. Obviously, JT Miller. Now he's got some pretty his lower. I think he's like at a +150 for a goal. So that's why I went with the shots. I went with a few shots. Like if he's supposed to tuck one in, then I kind of like that for that first game. And then for the second game, again, we got plenty of time to put this one in. But I've got, of course, Mac Dog, you got to bet on him. I got him at 4 shots, over 4 shots. Natchez, my guy, he's getting an assist tonight. And then I've got the LA Kings at the end of the first period at +half a goal. So essentially all that means is if it's 0-0, I win the bet, or at least that leg of the parlay. Or if they do happen to score and they keep Colorado off the board, that's a little bit lower. That's at +375, a little bit safer bet for that later night. But Avalanche just don't play. They're Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to road and home. So they're on the road tonight in LA, and I think they're going to be a slower start. So we'll see. Again, I could care less. I've already hit. So go Hawks. I think we're kind of winding down on this one, but I like what I've seen out of them. I like what I've seen out of the Hawks. They're staying with the Stanley Cup champs, the banged up Stanley Cup champs, but a good debut so far for the Hawks for sure.
Nice. Anything else we like before we get into talking? The Rangers Penguins is about ready to tip off here. My bet I had tonight, I had the over in this Florida Blackhawks game. I then took Rangers money line, and then I took money line on the Avs. So that was my 3 pick. I also threw in another one where I took +1 point, all those bets +1 for McGlynn, and then also Natchez +1, getting a point there. So I had to throw that one in for you, Titch. So I threw Natchez in there as well. I think I got that one at +587 on DraftKings. So that was one I threw in tonight.
Yeah, JT, like those a lot. I definitely like your money line picks for tonight. Those are looking really, really good. Going with all the favorites potentially could actually be the way to go. I think you put them all together, you get about +300. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple more of my toast takes out here. And honestly, love the assist plays tonight. So to parlay 3 assist guys together, McKinnon, he was an assist machine. I think last year he had like 84, 85 of them. I don't really care the fact that Colorado is actually going to LA tonight. He was very, very stingy defensively. They're very, very good in their own building. McKinnon don't care who's actually playing. He's actually going to get shots on goal. Had 320 of them last year. So he averages over 4 shots a game. I love McKinnon to get an assist tonight. He's going to be in the action. Also, this game, this Penguins and also the Rangers game, the second one. Penguins, they love to give up shots. They give them up in bunches. They're an awful team defensively. They didn't really do anything in the offseason to actually help themselves defensively as well. And these two teams, man, they get together and they actually play one another. I went and actually looked on StatMuse today because I knew they'd play some high-scoring games. And sure enough, the last six matchups, they're averaging just over 8 total goals a game combined. So you like points in this game here. The over in that, I think it's set at 6.5. They must like it as well. I like a Crosby assist as well, and I like a Panarin assist. So McKinnon, Panarin, and Crosby together, that's a +379. You can find that on DraftKings.
I like that as well. Aaron, anything else you got jumping out you tonight that you might want to jump on? I'm perusing right now to see if there's another one I want to jump on here for these late ones as you guys start throwing out bangers here that I'm like, oh, I kind of like these bets. So I'm looking right now at DraftKings and kind of pulling a few up. Anything else that maybe jumps out at you these last 2 games is something you might be able to get on?
You know, the one constant, there's a few constants in hockey that, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, whether it's Brady Tkachuk shots on goal, Nathan McKinnon assists. Last year it was Connor McDavid assists. This year we anticipated it'll be Connor McDavid goals. And God, what a guy selling 12 million. This guy, I know that's not the topic we're on. We'll talk about that. We'll take that apart, but just what an ambassador of the sport. I mean, I can't say enough. I wish I can't say enough. I think it was a really cool move. 2 years, 12 million, shows he wants to win the cup. Anyway, his kind of it just really sets the tone for team sports. So his bet will be goals for this year as we go forward. All this to say, the other solid bet I see for tonight is Drew Doughty and his block shots. He's a million years old. He's played a million games in the NHL. He absorbs shots like nobody else. He's defensive minded. He has offensive skill. I couldn't find a really good parlay that I wanted to sink my teeth into, but that's one leg. So I'll give you one leg. It's up to you to find the other 2-3 legs, whatever you want. But the Drew Doughty block shot, if you can get that into some other parlays, you might want to take a look at that one. I don't know what the straight up odds are. My phone's cycling right now, but as soon as I get back, I'll take a look at that one on DraftKings. But those LA games, I like going to that one, especially with Drew Doughty. He's on the ice he's on the ice more than he's off the ice. I'll put it like that in a 60-minute game. He's out there the whole time.
I'm trying to look right now on blocks on him, and right now it looks like the over/under is 1.5 at -105 for the over for Drew Doughty.
I mean that's the part of the leg you put it in, and that's the part of the leg you don't even worry about. The other two legs, or how many ever you get. If you get a crazy JT parlay, you got to sweat out 8 other things, but that's the give me for the night. So yeah, you got to put it down, pen to paper. You got to put that one in.
Aaron, I absolutely love that there. Even though LA does not give up a lot of shots on goal, period, Drew Doughty will actually get more than 2 block shots today. There's no doubt about that. And I was thinking it was going to be like at -135. The fact that it's actually -105, even money, is really, really just shocking to me. I did want to come out here, guys. I know we actually have a guest coming on here. I'm acting like, we got he's coming on right now, but he's not. We got 15 more minutes until we actually have our first guest, so we have time. But I'm too excited. I actually have to go ahead and just come out there with the play of the day, the Toast Takes play of the day. All right, and Carter Verhaeghe, 4 shots on goal versus a Hawks team that actually gave up the 3rd most shots in the entire league last year, and they were out without Alex Vlasic tonight. Wouldn't you know, they've actually given up 34, 35 shots on goal so far. They're probably going to end up getting close to 40. Verhaeghe's easily actually got his shots on goal right now. He is actually at 5. So that's already actually hit. The second leg of that is a Cale Makar, 4 shots on goal for Colorado. Now, LA last year gave up the second least amount of shots on goal in the NHL, and especially at home, they'll be real tough. An opportunity for a guy like Makar, who actually shoots from the blue line a lot. I don't see them getting the puck in close and actually getting a ton of shots on goal that way. Lots of long shots, right? Lots of blue line shots. That's where Makar actually is going to come in. So I got Cale Makar at 4 shots as well. So Verhaeghe for 4, Makar for 4 or more. That's plus 524. That you have $15 to win 100. So that is the play of the day. 1 leg down, good. 1 more leg to go.
So can I speak on that real quick before you get started?
Jump in there, Jorge.
So Toast, for everybody who's new to watching the Around the Ice podcast here at Fantasy and Frames, can you tell them a little bit about your Toast takes and when they should expect to see them and where they should expect to see them? Because you drop like almost every single other day or week, like these massive, assists of the day, shots on goal play of the days, 3 lot of leg parlays of the day. Like, when can people expect to get some of these takes from you going forward especially on the FIF Hockey Twitter page?
Yeah, thanks, Jorge. And absolutely, at FIF Hockey, that's where they will be posted first. At Toast Clark, I am on X. I'll repost them. I do those about daily, especially the first half of the season, before I actually happen to get into maybe coaching track and other things, and I'll do them maybe 3-4 times a week. But early in the season, every day, usually I'll post those somewhere around 5 Eastern, 4 Central, and we had those 6 o'clock starts. And sometimes we'll even have a early game or an early slate segment and a later game, the West Coast segment as well, where I'll do 2 toast takes. So that's when they expected, though, around 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central every day.
No, folks, these calls hit like nobody's business, and so it's very awesome that Toast takes the time to put out these every single day and help everybody at the NHL betting circle. I do have a couple of fantasy hockey questions. I know we were just on betting, but I just kind of wanted to jump into.
Jorge, real quick before we jump into the fantasy hockey questions, I've got a bet I just cooked up here.
Ooh.
Just in case anybody wants to get on it before these games start, and then we'll jump in there. I've got two pick parlays combined. I've got Sidney Crosby 3+ shots, Mika Zibanejad 2+ shots, Cale Makar 3+ shots, Nathan McGlynn 2+ assists. Right now, you can get that at plus 1220 on DraftKings. A $10 bet wins you 132. Plus 1220. I'll give that to you again. Crosby 3+ shots, Zibanejad 2+ shots, 3+ shots for Cole Makar, and 2 assists for Nathan McGlynn.
Nice.
That actually passes the common sense test, I will say, for that parlay. If you're going to put one together, statistics will actually back that up. Anything that actually happened on opening night, but I do like that a lot, JT.
All right, Jorge, give us what you got. Fantasy questions.
Yeah, so you guys are bringing up Makar a lot, and so a lot of the things I saw heading into fantasy season, and for those who don't know, this is my first year playing fantasy hockey, so I'm definitely the newbie in the group, so pardon my ignorance here. Just put me in the penalty box whenever I say something stupid, aka behind the stage, so nobody can see me on screen. So Makar was somebody that I was saying, even though he's a defenseman, was being touted as somebody who, of all the defensemen in all of fantasy hockey, if you were going to take a defenseman in the first round, this is the guy that you would have done it. Do you all agree with that, or do you think that's still too rich for a defenseman, even though Makar is like one of the best ones out there? Aaron.
Yeah, 100%. So there's one guy in the league that plays a position, but he really scores like a different position. That's Cale Makar. Cale Makar scores like a forward. He scores like a first-line center. His ability, his talent, I think, and again, it's going to just totally isolate any Boston fans, but I think he'll surpass Bobby Orr as best defenseman of all time, as crazy as that is. But I mean, Bobby Orr, he's always going to, it's like saying that, did anybody really pass Gordie Howe? No, he's still legendary, he's still on Mount Rushmore, all that stuff. But I think statistically he'll pass. Yes. So short answer is yes. Long answer is what I just said. But yeah, he's outstanding and he's fun to watch. There was a move he put on the Blackhawks, I want to say probably 3-4 seasons ago. It was an overtime goal. It's just like he moved on the ice like I've never seen. Kind of half spinorama, half fake out, just totally broke about 4 players' knees, went around and put it in for the winner. So, yeah. I don't know who ended up getting him, but if you did, actually, Jorge, you say that you were the first one. You had a pretty solid team, I gotta say.
Thank you.
I don't know what you're using for your source or your
everything.
research.
Everything.
Well,
everything.
You pulled it off. Because you got a heck of a team.
Thank you. So I asked Toast, do you have any like resources? And the next thing you know, I get like 8 text message chains of like, these are the resources to go to. So like on Saturday and then the day of the draft, I'm happy. Thank you, Toast, because I literally have like I have like my one monitor here and I got the screen right here and I have like 8 tabs of hockey resources on both. And I'm just like Neo in the Matrix. Like I just want to be I am the internet. I am surfing all this stuff. Speaking of another player I was surfing on, talking about was Jackson Lacombe. Did I say that correctly? For the Anaheim Ducks, who just signed the 8-year, $72 million deal. Is he somebody who's like one of those up and coming defensemen that you definitely want to get on board and see whether or not he, fully breaks out, or do you think he's already had his breakout, which is why they rewarded him with such a lucrative deal?
Yeah, not a breakout yet, but he's going to break out. So I think this year, I think most projections have him projected for 60 points. Plus Anaheim, if you actually look at Anaheim, man, they have a ton of young forwards. This is a team on the rise. You get Quenneville there as a coach. They're actually going to be very, very competitive. This is going to be a really, really good team eventually. They got one of the 3 or 4 best farm systems in all of hockey as well, and Lacomb's a big part of that. Did I see a $9 million AAV actually coming? I don't think anybody really saw that, but we'll talk about the cap, especially when we actually have some of our guests on. The cap is actually going up, and it's going up significantly. So what actually appears to be $8 or $9 million now, 3 years from now, that looks very, very good on paper as well, especially for a 21, 22-year-old defenseman who's actually going to be just getting nothing but better, of course. So, big time Jackson Lacombe fan.
Nice. So to wrap things up before I jump off screen and stop interrupting you guys, I just want people to know that my first matchup out of all the people I could have been taking on my first week is Mr. JT Orange up there. And so my being I'm going back to my Washington Capitals roots here with the Screaming Eagle jersey on. And so I remember watching hockey and being a fan of hockey back when Dale Hunter was the captain of the Capitals back in the mid 90s. And so my avatar is Dale Hunter and my team name is Hunting for the Cup. I won't say what JT's team name is because it's classically something that we'll wait till the 10 o'clock hour to talk about it. Not at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but I am currently at 0.5 points to his 0. And I feel very confident that is probably going to not last much longer. And it's going to be very lopsided as the evening and week goes on. But I'm going to take my victory lap now that at least for the first few hours of the NHL season here in 2025, I'm in the lead. So there we go.
Hey, you're ahead of me now. I gotta make a comeback. Gotta get my team together, talk to them. Gotta get together. Just to say this, 108 left here in the third, 3-2 Florida. I've got the over 5.5 goals here. They just pulled Spencer Knight. Oh, and then they sent him back in. Toast, what is going on here? They pulled Spencer Knight. It looked like it was going to be an empty net, and now they're sending him back in. I need a goal here, folks. I need a goal to keep this thing going, so we'll keep an eye on here. But, Jorge, love to play you in the first round. I love the jersey. I was going to say, they've been coming out with a couple specialty jerseys. They got the new red Screaming Eagle jersey for the Caps. Oh, my gosh, that thing is phenomenal. I absolutely love that jersey.
So I actually found in my closet my old white Screaming Eagle jersey, and it even has a pin for former Cap Brendan Witt. I don't know if you guys ever remember Brendan Witt.
That's fantastic.
So I have this luck charm, and I was like, I had the white jersey. I never had the blue jersey, and so I'm a big eBay fan, going and getting retro things. Yeah, I'm not getting that. That's a little bit too out of my price range right there to get that blue Screaming Eagle jersey. But if Fanatics, if you're listening, if you ever decide to come back and throw that one out there, this guy's got you. So just wanted to put that out there into the universe, put that into the ether, and hope that actually works out well. But look, no, guys, I'll jump in here and there. You guys do a great job here on Around the Ice, and I know everybody's super excited for opening night and all the different games we got going on. And folks who are watching, seriously, if you're not following at FIF Hockey, do so. If you're not following everybody here on screen at their Twitter handles, do so. Reach out to them, ask them questions. I mean, if you're following us over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell at FIF Hockey. These gentlemen do a great job each and every week. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, Jorge. Feel free to jump back in anytime over the next couple hours.
Sounds good.
And our first game has gone final, folks. 3-2. Florida holds on. Before we bring on our guests, let's just talk about this game real quick here, Toast. The Blackhawks really staying in this game. I missed my bet with the over 5.5, but this was a surprising showing against the two-time defending champs.
So it was a really, really bad first period by the Hawks, and we'll actually cover this a little bit more later on. But man, very, very sloppy. They really tightened it up in the second and third period. A 3-2 final for Florida actually wins it there. Not bad showing for the Hawks. I know they actually would have died to actually get a point there. That would have been great. Spencer Knight stood on his head tonight. He was unbelievable. We actually streamed him in a league. JT and I actually did for tonight, just knowing in the Cats league he was actually going to get those categories we need for save percentage, saves overall as well, and he did not disappoint. But I know the Hawks would like to have actually had a point. They did not actually get one, but this is a really, really good showing for a young Hawks team who actually stuck with it, the best team in the world.
Aaron, your thoughts real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think Toast said it all. A better showing than what I thought. The first period, not great, and I had that kind of stomach punch feel, like this is going to be another long season. Still will be a long season, but not as bad as I thought. Way to keep up with the banged up champs. I'll take it.
It's now time to add in our first guest of the evening. We are super pumped to have him. Peter Harling in for us tonight. We've added him here. Super pumped to have him. Our first guest of the evening. He's a well-known in the hockey community, both covering game and fantasy advice. Thank you for joining us, Peter. Welcome into Fantasy and Frames Around the Ice.
Hey, guys. Thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So to get things started off here, just for people that don't know your background, give some of the people some of your thoughts, some of the things you did, what you did at Dauber Prospects, and kind of sportsology, McKean's hockey. I know you've kind of been all over the spectrum here in the hockey world. Give everybody a little insight on what you've done and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've worn a few hats, mostly with Dauber Prospects. He made me the managing editor for Dauber Prospects. I had 2 tours of duty there. I stepped aside for a bit, and Cam took over, and then Tony took over, and then I came back. So off and on for about 10 years, I was in charge of that. So that was a lot of fun, and it opened up a lot of doors for me and got me some media credentials, and started a podcast for them as well, which I ran for a few years, and I did over 100 episodes with Victor Nuno, the Dauber Prospects Report. Most of the other stuff is freelance. I contribute to McKean's for their fantasy yearbook and draft guide. That's a great book. I've been a fan of that for 20 years, 30 years now. And being able to contribute to it is pretty awesome. It made me pretty happy when they invited me in, and I'm just happy that they keep bringing me back. Sportsology is Russ Cohen. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Russ's work, especially from the podcast, the SiriusXM stuff that he does. He basically gave me draft credentials and said, "Yeah, sure, I'll get you into the draft if you wanna write an article or two for me." So that's how that worked out. We're friends, so he threw me a bone there. Basically, he did me a solid. So thanks again, Russ. Really appreciated that.
How was it like covering the draft? I know I work for a bunch of fantasy football sites, and I've covered the scouting combine, but not the draft. What's it like going to the draft, being there, covering the draft? That's got to be pretty exciting.
It's pretty awesome. Not going to lie. I went 5 or 6 times there. It's kind of like, you do the work for the whole season and you cover the prospects for the draft. You do your fantasy league, and then it all ends and you get to go to the ball at the end of the season with all your media and scout friends. And, it's when you're as deep into the prospects and fantasy hockey as I am, I don't have too many friends in my circle of friends that are that nerdy about it as I am and can keep up. So then when I go to the draft, it's like, I'm the opposite end of the spectrum there. Like, these guys all know so much more than I do. And I was just a sponge soaking it up. And yeah, it's funny. You would think perhaps that the most interesting thing about going to the draft would be seeing the players and getting to interview the players after they were drafted. And quite frankly, I was really more interested in talking to the media and the scout guys and networking with them and making friendships and connections and getting to know those guys. And I don't know how into the hockey media or management community you guys are, but I got to tell you, everyone in it is super nice. Like, not just guys that have podcasts like us, but guys who are general managers of NHL teams. I'll run into those guys in the rink and I ask them for a few minutes of their time, not in the intermission or whatever. And they're so accommodating. It's pretty humbling. It's I'm really impressed with the hockey community that way.
It's always great when you can be a part of a community that, people are willing to add people in, talk to you, give you their info, help you out wherever you can. I feel the same way. The hockey community, I think, is very similar to the fantasy football community and draft community, where people are willing to help each other out and kind of take in people that maybe don't have as much experience and kind of give them a leg up. So that's one of the things I love about both fantasy football and fantasy hockey, in the fact that so many people are willing to kind of bring people along and help each other out. So that's always good to hear when I hear other people say the same thing, because that's kind of been my experience in that realm as someone who's worked in full-time sports media, and then also then done the other side of it where it's more podcast, more fantasy friendly as opposed to direct media. So that's always good to hear. Toast?
Yeah, and hey, Peter, thanks a lot for coming on. This has been fantastic for you actually agreeing to join. Talking about the draft, it got me thinking about the whole format change this year, which you may not have actually experienced this, but the whole decentralized format of the draft. How would that actually impact not only the GMs and actually the franchise actually on the floor, but also the media as well? I mean, and are you a fan of that?
I'm not a fan of it. I didn't go to the draft in LA this year. My daughter graduated university on the same day, so that was an easy decision which one to go to. So I think a lot of it stemmed from the draft in Nashville, where it was a bit of chaos getting out of the Nashville airport, and there were delays, there was weather, the airport was packed, and everyone was sitting around waiting for hours for their flight. And the NHL teams were, I think, starting to sweat a little bit because free agency was it was just a couple hours away. It's coming around the corner. So that had a lot to do with why they decentralized it. And I don't want to suspect cost savings because these guys shouldn't be worried about that, but that might have had a part to do with it too. For guys like me that go to the draft, it didn't really change much. I mean, you don't have a lot of access to the team management and scouts. They're on the draft floor, and you need a different kind of credential to get onto the draft floor and walk between the tables where the teams are. You can get into the media row, the media risers, and you can get into the podiums for interviews with the players when they're picked. And then when the draft is over, team executives come around and meet with media members and are on the podium. So you do have a little bit of access to them. But other than that, it didn't really change much. I think they tried to make it a more made-for-TV event, and by having all the teams in their home base, they tried and failed to incorporate them more into the production, into the show, and there was some technical difficulties a couple of times that were really painful to watch. So I'm not sure which way they're going to go in the future. I hope they go back to doing it old school, because that's kind of something that's unique to hockey. And it's a very special event, and I love going to the draft. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, and Peter, setting aside the technical difficulties, which like you said, were super painful to watch, very, very embarrassing, pretty uncomfortable to actually watch. You hit it right on the head with. That was hockey, their draft niche. It was very, very unique to them to actually have everybody there in the room. You wonder in the event that maybe a GM gets up or an assistant GM gets up and they're moving around, is there some chatter going on? You might be able to see some of that as just being a viewer on TV. It was just really unique, really good format. I'm with you. I think if they're smart, they'll go back to that. That it was a pretty easy decision to maybe axe that and go back. But switching from the draft and actually coming over, maybe putting your fantasy hat on as a fan, like we are, right? Out of your street clothes, and actually now you may be actually out of the game of hockey here for a moment. I have a feeling you probably actually won't be out there actually too long, either by choice or whatever it may be. Talk fantasy. So as a GM of a fantasy league, we're in a categories league with you, the Dauber Prospect League as well. I think you're the Kingston Raiders, right? That's your team? Yeah. So that being a categories league, but I want to ask you, what's your favorite format you like? I mean, if you were going to start up a league, do you actually like to do head-to-head? Do you like categories? What platform do you actually like? ESPN, Fantrax, Yahoo? Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Well, the platform would be Fantrax all the way. I'm a really big fan of their interface and the offerings that they provide, and it's for my money the only choice really. In terms of how would I set the format up, that's a great question, and it kind of depends on what's my goal here. Is it a league with my friends? Is it a league to help promote my podcast and the site and increase listener engagement? Is it to try and win some money and win a prize? So basically, my favorite pool that I'm in is, I think it's 24 teams with a full roster and a full minor league team as well. And it's a hard salary cap. So if you have a player on your team that is not living up to his salary, you can't just drop him. You have to buy him out or trade him. So that really adds a dynamic to it that I particularly love. And I don't think I would enjoy a hockey pool that didn't have that unless it was with just my buddies. It was just a redraft every year. We get together at a cottage in October, play some poker, drink some beers, and do a draft. But for a big online league, it's got to be big. It's got to be deep. It's got to have prospects, and it's got to have bangers categories. Because if you're going that deep, like, your bottom 6 guys and your second pairing D are useless if you're not counting hits and block shots or special team, whatever. Like, you got to have something for them there that gives value to a player like Arbor Jackeye. So that's kind of my thoughts on Dynasty setup in a nutshell.
Yeah, Toast, me and you are in Sour Crap League. We are big fans of the Bangers Leagues. Our home league's a big Bangers League. We want to make all those guys valuable, keep those defensemen around. So talk a little bit about that as well, Toast, add on to what Peter said.
Yeah. So you get to the point now where, how many defensemen are there that actually play like forwards in the NHL? You may have 7, 8, right, that you really, really trust, that actually those power play 1 quarterbacks, the guys that actually can dry play, also defend, but not only they can score somewhat, like a winger, like a center as well. There's just a handful. And then most leagues are actually starting 4, right? So if you start 4 defensemen, and heck, I'm in some leagues where I actually start 6 defensemen. You got to make these guys valuable to the point where you want to actually play them and make the pool deep, right? So we really started implementing at least 0.3 points for a block, 0.3 points for a hit, and maybe even 0.2 for PEM as well, just to bring these guys up a little bit and actually make the pool that much more valuable. I don't know, Peter, I don't know if you actually agree with that, disagree with that, but basically just, or if you actually even play in leagues in that, but that's what we've done in a lot of our leagues.
Yeah, that works. Or if you just have like a categories league, right, where whoever wins the hits, that's a point. And if you win goals, that's a point. So it kind of makes them all even, right? So then you get a guy like Brady Tkachuk who checks all the boxes, right? He shoots, he hits, he scores, he fights, he gets penalty minutes. The guy even takes face-offs from the wing. So, that it makes certain players uber valuable, which is a lot of fun.
Is there anybody better in a bangers category league than Brady Tkachuk? I mean, is there anybody more valuable? I mean, I love that guy. He's always, I'm an Ottawa fan after a Blackhawks fan, and I love Columbus as well, just because of the young players they actually have. But man, Brady Tkachuk is a banger's dream. And I do you recall any player that you've actually either covered as a prospect that actually graduated up to the pros, or in the past as a hockey fan that actually could touch what Brady Tkachuk could actually do from a categories perspective and banging?
Ovi was pretty good at it. I mean, he shot like crazy, he scored like crazy, and he would hit a lot too. He didn't win you any face-offs, but yeah, he racked up your special team points. He was pretty special player when he's still pretty freaking good too, man. He's all-time greatest goal scorer in the history of the game.
So we got a question here from the chat. Scott, thanks for joining us. Fancy question. Would you like a breakdown how the scoring works day-to-day and weekly for a newbie? How do you maximize points without dropping really good players? Thank you. Appreciate the question, Scott.
Peter, I'm going to let you take this one. What's your thoughts on that? Dropping players, right? Maybe too early, too late?
Well, his question is about how scoring works, and that can change from league to league quite significantly. So you just need to check your league rules first and see how the value breaks down. And then one of the things I like about Fantrax is you can sort player rankings by stat categories, right? So if blocks are valuable in your league, you can click on the top column there and sort it by blocks, and you can look at history as well. You can go like last year's stats, how'd they do in the playoffs. You can click on a player and see their career stats and see how they're trending. Are they going up? Are they flatline? Are they going down? In terms of deciding when to drop players, I think we've all been burned by that, right? We've had players who we had and we dropped them, and then all of a sudden they're at the All-Star game. Where'd that come from? Or you have players who you pick up and then they get injured, or then they just don't score for a month. That stuff's just going to happen, man. Like no one's got a crystal ball, and you're not going to be right all the time. You just kind of got to trust your instincts, I think, and look at history. Look at the player's track record. What did they do previously? And is what they're doing just lightning in a bottle? Is it a flash in the pan? Have they ever dominated at any level? Were they a prolific junior scorer? Were they amazing at college or NCAA? If they were just good, and then they get to the NHL, and then they have, a season or two, and they're a middle six kind of guy, and then they come into training camp and they lead the NHL in preseason scoring all of a sudden. Is that sustainable? Probably not. It's probably Brendan Brzezinski all over again. Don't make that mistake again. Everyone was clamoring to draft him in like the first or second round because he was leading the NHL in scoring in preseason, playing on a line with Spezza and I don't know, it was Alfredson or Healy, whoever it was, and then he didn't even make the team after like 2 games. So that's, I guess, the best advice I can give you. You're just going to lose some, and make your most informed decision. Get as much information as you can. Buy the draft guides from Dauber or McKean's and see what we say about them in those books and what the prediction is for them for the year. If the prediction is not very good and they're off to a hot start, well, we could be wrong, or it could just be a hot start. I mean, that's going to be your decision to make, and it's always a tough one, and it sucks when you get it wrong.
Well, and yeah, absolutely. And I think it is definitely a moving target. There's no doubt about it, Peter. And it's no different. Hey, and Scott, it's no different in football, right? If you end up playing a football league, and hockey is very similar that way. One question, Peter, I want to ask you. You mentioned cap league, right? So I know I actually play in a cap league as well. And boy, is it really, really difficult. It's difficult to project basically what the player is actually going to get. And I constantly find myself actually moving good players for actually cheap young players as well, and just trying to stay ahead a little bit. But one thing I want to talk to you about was Kirill Kaprizov signed in the $17 million AAV over 8 seasons as well. I will say we all know Kaprizov's a great player. I think he's 26, 27, 28, he's somewhere around, I think 26 maybe, and is he's gonna be great for a long time. But that it felt to me, and again, not being an expert, just a fantasy manager of a team, maybe $2-3 million too much. Now, granted, maybe Minnesota needed to keep him around to actually make their franchise relevant, right? But how does a contract like that actually change the landscape with the cap going up? I mean, can you speak to that? I know it's a vague question, but how does that change things?
Well, I don't have any insider information onto the dynamics of the situation, but from what I've gathered from listening to a couple of podcasts and reading the tea leaves and whatnot, he kind of had Minnesota over the barrel there, right? Like he was pretty much able to write his own check in that situation because that team really needs a superstar. They needed to hold on to him. And did they overpay him out of the gate here? I think yes. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. However, it's a long-term contract, and the salary cap is projected to go up quite significantly in the next couple of years. So, in 4 or 5 years, the guys who are making $3-4 million right now that are bargains, that could be guys who are making $6-7-8 million in a few years, could be bargains. And I think his salary cap will come in line, and if he produces to the way everyone expects him to over the duration of that career, by the time he gets on to the last couple seasons of that contract, I think he'll be pretty good value for them still. I mean, he's a pretty special player. Not too many people can do some of the things that he does and has the star power that he has. So did they overpay? Yeah, I think a little bit, but by the time this contract wears out, I don't think it'll be that bad. Bobrovsky was the same thing, right? Like when Florida signed him, everyone was just like, whoa, that is way too much money. You are going to rue the day you signed that contract, and that is going to end badly. Well, 2 Stanley Cups later, I think they're just fine with that contract. Just fine.
The interesting thing about that Bobrovsky contract is if I remember right, they signed him to the $10 million deal, and then they drafted Spencer Knight 13th overall. So it was just interesting how that actually all played out. I think that was as soon as Quinville actually came over and actually joined Florida as well. I'm gonna. We only have you for a short period of time. I really want to fire through a bunch of questions here. I mean, we could sit here and talk all night. I know we're on a pretty strict schedule, but speaking of contracts, we know Connor McDavid has signed a team-friendly 2-year, $12.5 million AAV. Obviously, I think a lot of McDavid doing that, considering he could have just did the $20.8 million, whatever it may be on the cap, and actually had done the max deal, like the basketball max deal. But talking about maybe McDavid but McDavid and McKinnon. McDavid and McKinnon had never really in the past actually been a debate on who's going to be number 1 overall in, let's say, head-to-head drafts and redraft leagues. But now there's a lot of league managers coming in and actually saying, I prefer McKinnon. And I can understand that maybe in a Cats league where he does a little bit of everything. But give me your thoughts. What do you actually like? McDavid, McKinnon, can you not go wrong? Is it a little too early to start having McDavid actually go number 2 overall in a lot of these drafts?
Well, you can't go wrong with either of those guys. They're both beauties. In a cap league, though, McDavid signing at $12 million, like fantasy owners in cap leagues of McDavid, they can't believe what they see here. It's like, what do you mean he's only signed for $12 million? You're missing you got the first digit wrong. It should be 22 or something like that. Like, this is crazy. So in a cap league, it's McDavid all day long. In a multi-cat league where you're counting other categories, I think McKinnon has a bit of an edge on him in some of the other categories. But I mean, McDavid is still so elite. I think his offensive upside is untouched by anyone in the league. Goals, assists, power play points, shorthanded points. He's got so much speed. He's deadly in all situations. He'll win face-offs. He doesn't throw a lot of hits or block a lot of shots. But I mean, if you own McDavid in your fantasy league and you're watching an Oilers game and you see him do the swan flamingo move in front of a defenseman taking a slap shot, you're yelling at your TV saying, "Get the F out of the way, buddy. Don't let that hit your ankle." So you don't want him blocking shots, man. You're okay with him having no blocked shots.
Yeah, Peter, I'm going to pass it over to JT here in a second. I want to ask you real quick why I have you. McDavid actually come out and said he wanted to be more of a shooter this year. And you remember a couple years ago where he actually put up over 60. So when I hear the best player in the world actually come out and say that, I'm taking notice. I think he's going to shoot a lot more. I think he's going to score a lot more goals. Over 38.5 on DraftKings at -110 for the season. I just think that's an absolute steal. Are you maybe taking out a loan and putting a little bit of money down on that?
38 goals on the season for McDavid?
Yeah.
I'm taking the over.
Absolutely. It's a very, very, very low number. I just can't believe 38.5 at -115 on DraftKings. Yeah. Especially when the best player in the world, said he's going to shoot the puck. He's going to shoot the puck.
If he's healthy, it's over all day long.
Yeah, we loved it. We in our NHL preseason bet show last week. We had toast. We were on over McDavid on almost everything because we're like these numbers are too nice for what you can get for him. Just Peter, before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit about fantasy draft strategy. How does your strategy change depending on leagues? Obviously, big difference between a redraft, a dynasty, a salary cap, a head-to-head, and even categories league. Let's start with a little head-to-head because we know a lot of people, especially we've got a listeners league this year for a lot of newbies, some people that want to get into hockey, haven't done it before. Kind of what are some of your strategies you kind of look at when you're looking at head-to-head leagues, whether it's redraft or dynasty?
Well, the scoring format has a lot to do on it, right? Like head-to-head is one thing, but what are your scoring categories? Typically, I would let defense and goalies slide for a little bit, and you look at what are the positions that are more valuable, right? Like centers, because if you're a multi-cat, they're going to get you the face-off win category too. If you have multi-positional players, that is something else that will tend to be very attractive to me. If you've got a bench of 4 or 5 guys and you're setting your roster every day, and you got a guy who can play center, left wing, right wing, you can interchange him in and out of different positions and bump out guys who aren't playing that day and keep a maximum number of players playing every night. There's a tremendous amount of value in that. But yeah, mostly I guess you just need to study your scoring categories and figure out what players match up with your categories, your stat categories the best.
I think that's always great fantasy advice, especially hockey. That's not necessarily across the board set scoring. I always tell people, I'm like, you really got to look at that scoring. Doesn't matter. Is it a bangers league? Is it a light bangers league? Is it, how many starting positions are you going to get, especially defensemen? Is it like a deep defense league? Is it start 2 goalies? Is it 1 goalie? I know me and Toast, we always get into it with people because we're in too many leagues where people want to way overvalue goalies. And then we have to turn around and we're like, okay, is it a lot of negative points for goalies? Is it all positive points? Because we want to get leagues where like, hey, saves count for a lot more. We don't like negative points for loss, for goalie losses, those types of things. So always trying to look at those things when we're taking a look at everything combined.
Yeah, in some leagues it can be really hard to win your week or your league if you're not getting the stats from your goalies. But one of the reasons why I slide goalies a little bit is because they're really unpredictable, man. Like they can be good or bad from season to season. And it's really hard. Like I'm not a goalie guru, so it's very difficult for me at times to predict what goalies are going to take a step forward and which ones are going to take a step back and which ones are going to do the same thing they did last year. Maybe one day I'll get it figured out, but probably not.
Yeah, I equate goalies to the tight end position, right, in fantasy football. There's maybe 3 or 4 that are very, very reliable year in, year out. Your Hellebucks, your Vasilevskis, even Shesterkins and Ottingers. They play all the great teams are going to get a bunch of wins. But after that, it's just, like you said, very unpredictable. It's the tight end position. I mean, we're always kind of, unfortunately, fantasy hockey takes a back seat to fantasy football, especially like where we're at, basically in central Illinois. So everybody asks me that about, what do you do with goalies? I'm like, well, my opinion is kind of like yours. You fade goalies, you fade defensemen. I have no problem actually getting a Jacob Trouba late, a Rocco Gudis actually late, covering the hits, covering the blocks as well. If they score a couple of goals, fine. Are they going to get 25 minutes of time on ice tonight as well? That's great as well. And you're just taking that chance, right? Because you're just rather get them skaters and then forwards, which I noticed this year. I don't know how many redraft leagues you did, but left wingers tend to actually be a little bit thinner this year than I remember. I always remember right wingers being thin, but this year the left wing category just kind of falls off.
Yeah. Another thing about goalies is they don't play in a vacuum. They're very team dependent. So if you've got a goalie who gets traded and goes from a crap team to a good team, you could see a real spike, or vice versa. If he goes, to Florida, or it's not from Florida to Chicago, then that could be bad news. Sorry.
Hey, I was gonna say, is there anybody you are liking as far as young guys coming up fantasy that we need to keep an eye on?
Oh yeah, always. I mean, Lane Hudson set the NHL on fire last year. He's got a brother coming up in Washington's system who's looks every bit as good as his brother. And then Zane Parekh could be the Flames power play quarterback as soon as next week. He's got a lot of offensive potential. So there's a couple of defensemen that are coming up. I really like Ryan Leonard, Washington Capitals. I think he's going to be a bit of a slow ascension, but he's going to be sort of like a Brady Tkachuk kind of player. I think he's got all kinds of ability to play the wing, win faceoffs from the wing. He shoots a lot. He hits a lot. He's a bit ornery. He doesn't mind being a little mean, and he's got tons of skill. So there's a lot to like with that player. Man, I could go on all day about prospects. I'm sure you have other guests lined up.
Well, no, and Peter, we're definitely going to have you back on, especially if you agree to it for prospects. We want to do a lot of Dynasty this year. We have some segments for some new GMs. Those are actually new to fantasy hockey, where they really wouldn't get into Dynasty right away. Hopefully not, right? And then also too, I want to ask you before we actually cut you loose. And again, hopefully you'll agree to come back. This has been fantastic. I've never been in an auction draft for hockey. It is, if you were going to be in a cap league, if you're going to be in a category league and actually be in an auction league altogether, would that be the most difficult format you could actually think of? Is that for the best?
So an auction league is a lot of fun. They can be pretty slow drafting though. You definitely can't do it, I don't think, online. It's a great time, like I said, if you're renting a cottage and having your buds over and doing a redraft every year, make it an auction draft. And it's a lot of fun to screw with your buddies, right? Like if you know your buddy is a diehard Ovi fan, then you're like, Alex Ovechkin. And if your salary cap is $107 million, you're like, $10 million, because he's gonna raise it. And so obviously you don't use NHL salary cap, right? You use your auction as the salary, and you've got so much money to fill out your roster. I remember being in a league and some guy, he has his first couple of players that he signed were superstars, and he blew all his money on like half of his roster. And he didn't have enough money to fill out his final bench spots. So he was bidding on guys like Axl Rose, because he had like $2 left and he had 2 roster spots, and the minimum bid was $1. So he couldn't, every time he bid $1, someone would just outbid him. He was getting really frustrated. So he just bid on non-hockey players. Drafts can be fun. Or auctions can be fun.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've never done either. I've done a couple of hockey, NFL leagues, but I've never done a hockey auction draft. Toast, we're gonna have to add that one to the mix. I think we're gonna have to get one of those going just to see what we can do. But Peter, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out. We really, really appreciate it for opening night of hockey. Can't beat it, right? Hockey's back, baby. Hockey's back. It's been like 80s here in Illinois, and finally we get a cool night for opening night of hockey. Me and Toast out here like wearing sweatshirts and everything after it's been like insanely hot. So the hockey is upon us. It's been great. I just want to thank you again for joining us. And we'd like Toast said, just reiterate, we'd love to have you back on throughout the season if you can make time.
No problem, guys. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really happy that you reached out to me. I appreciate that, and I'm happy to come on anytime.
Appreciate it, Peter. Have a good night. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks again, Peter. Really appreciate you coming on. And for those that don't know, or those listeners, again, might be new to hockey, Dauber sets a standard when it comes to fantasy, to just talent evaluation, up-and-comers. Definitely have to have Peter on again as former managing editor to find out what just kind of the thought process and what he does, what he puts into the there's so many formulas and stuff with Dauber. Again, you can just get lost in what's available on that website. So it's pretty impressive. It's a good read, and it's good stuff. It's always up to date, and it's really the go-to source.
Yeah, I was honestly, when I had an agreement here for Peter to come on and visit with us and give us a lot of his knowledge. He was a Dauber prospects for years, and just again very well known around the community of hockey, fantasy hockey for sure as well. And as we have him back on, he would be a great resource for Dynasty, especially all those prospects as well. Still have to kind of pinch myself here a little bit, like we had Peter Harling on. So it's fun, a whole lot of fun. We know what the hell, even a little bit more fun here is the fact that Pittsburgh and the Rangers here, a little bit of a slow start in this game. 6 shots for Pittsburgh, 4 to Rangers. I'm looking for assists from Crosby, from Panarin as well. And give Pittsburgh credit so far. This is a team that could not actually shut down offenses, gave up a whole lot of shots on goal last year. And here they are actually only giving up 4 to New York Rangers with 14 minutes actually gone here in the first period.
Yeah. I mean, perfect timing for our resident Caps fan to jump on. If I'm a Caps fan, I'm loving this because these two guys, these teams look terrible. They, yeah, no, I'm good with that. I think you got a playoff spot here if this is any indication of what the season's going to do. But it's a snooze fest of a game thus far.
So for me, I being the Caps fan, Pittsburgh just like too many heartbreaks. I remember back in the mid 90s there was like a 6 overtime game in the playoffs and somebody finally got the puck past Olaf Kolzig, Ole the goalie, and that, I mean, to be up until like 2:00 in the morning and then that's how you end up losing. And then the Rangers, in the 2000s would always have the Caps number in the second round. And for me, though, you're seeing these two teams and hearing, Toast, what you were talking about, how the Pittsburgh's defense is just not what we like to call good, or you guys like to call good in the fantasy hockey space or in the NHL hockey space. Yes, to answer your question, Aaron, yeah, I'm very happy that these two teams are where they're at. For me, though, for being the Caps fan, my concern has always been not, at least I guess in recent years, has been not just making the playoffs, but like advancing through the playoffs. Like they had that one good run in 2018 when they won the cup, right? Where they finally got past Pittsburgh, their arch nemesis, where they finally got to the cup, and then they I want to say they redeemed themselves from the Detroit series back in the day, even though that wasn't really redemption, but it felt like it took them forever to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, and once they finally did, the Caps capitalized on it. See what it did there. So yes, to answer your question, very happy these two teams suck. Very happy.
Yeah, Jorge, what I would actually say is if you want to equate Pittsburgh defense in the past to maybe an NFL team, they're the Cowboys. Okay, they're the Cowboys defense. And they're playing a lot better than what a Cowboys defense would actually play tonight here. Again, 5 shots on goal from the Rangers. That's crazy. Or maybe even the Cincinnati Bengals right now, right? So
Gotcha.
That's usually what you're actually going to get for Pittsburgh. Again, a lot of shot props actually going the way of a New York team that probably, quite frankly, doesn't usually shoot the puck a ton, but that would have been a play tonight as well. So I expect things after the first period where they're feeling each other out. It's definitely going to pick up. You're going to have a ton of shots here in this game, I imagine.
So now I know for, when we're looking at ADPs, and that's one of the things that a lot of fantasy managers and fantasy hockey, obviously we do our research. We look at the rankings at various places. We check out stats. We look at years of consistency at different metrics, but using ESPN, because that's what we did for the Around the Ice Listeners League that you guys put on. Sidney Crosby was ranked pretty up there, and I'm still kind of surprised that he was ranked up there given how long he's been in the league. And I remember during your all's one of your mock drafts, the one that I was participating in, there was talk that the Penguins might be so bad that Sidney might actually be traded. Is that crazy to think from a Penguins point of view that could actually happen, or is that like wishful thinking? Like, yeah, I'm sure, like speculative thinking, or is this like a potential like legit thing that could happen?
I go back and forth on this. Actually, another pod, we've referenced them a million times, number one hockey pod out there, Spit and Chicklets. They kind of took a deep dive into this they dropped an episode yesterday, and they were talking about this, like Montreal. They're the kind of flavor of the month for the Sid Crosby sweepstakes. Last year was Colorado. My honest answer, I don't think he goes anywhere. I think he retires a Penguin. He's wrapped up in the community. I think there's I'm not going to say it's some controversy or something like that, but there's got to be some kind of incentive for maybe down the road team ownership or something. I don't know, or who knows? Maybe
a Lemieux deal, maybe.
Yeah, exactly right. And they set the standard for that, right? The player / owner was Lemieux. So why not? Why not have this be this next version of that? So I just don't see him go there. And the dude is so superstitious. He's so superstitious. 8/7 is when he was born. The August 7th, whatever year it was. I don't even want to say the year because I'm probably 20 years older than him. But and we're talking about how old he is, and I'm 20 years.
No, but like he's been in the league a lot. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and he's so wrapped up in that. And like, there's other little things that he does, routines, meals. You name the superstition, this guy seems to have it. So I think just getting over, like, he knows that city, that town, that community, that team. the schedule. He probably runs the show. He probably, it's all very comforting. That said, you never know when that championship bug is going to bite. You don't know. You look at players like Ray Bork. You look at players like Chris Chelios. You look at these long-time NHL guys that were kind of winded down. Where'd they go? They went to Contenders and they won that. For Ray Bork, it was a one-time thing. It was the only cup. For Chelios, it was, another one, but you just don't know. And that could happen. And that'd be the only way I'd say he's out of town. I'd never in a million years predict what team it is, but it would definitely have to be a contender, and it'd have to be somewhere where he's got, I don't know. He's got a pretty solid shot, I think, for him to kind of pack up the family and move.
Not to go down nostalgia lane, but because that's what I'm good for. But you mentioned Ray Bork. Like, to this day, that series against the Devils where he finally, where they finally won the cup, the Avalanche, that is. And then I still remember the announcer on the ESPN call where he's like, Ray Bork, it was something like it was like some famous call. Like, the cup is yours, or finally Ray Bork has got the cup, and he hoists that thing up. And I'm just like, I had like zero investment in Ray Bork as a Bruin. I was all about it when he got traded, and all about following the Avalanche that year when they went against the Devils, the defending champs, I think they were, and beat them in Game 7 in Colorado. So yeah, Ray Bork, that's throwing it back there. Yeah. Great story with that guy, and great teammate, great leader, great captain. And again, so you have the precedent set with Lemieux and the team ownership. So you got that path for Crosby, or you've got the Ray Bork precedent, probably one or two of those. Well, it has to be one of the two of them. He's either going to stay or he's going to go. We'll see. But fun to watch anyway. Chelios was a Blackhawk for a while, and then he went to the Detroit Red Wings, right?
That's correct. He was actually traded. Had probably some say in it, but he got so much crap from Blackhawks fans forever. I mean, he had Chelly's Chili Bar that wasn't too far away from the stadium. He was in Chicago. He was born and raised in Chicago, so he's got family here. But that was when they were still in the same league, or I'm sorry, same division. So it was the old Norris division where Chicago and Detroit were playing. And so we hated Detroit. Detroit hated us. Let me put it this way: before Detroit ran over to the East Coast, this pod would not happen. We would not have Hawks and Wings fans on the same pod. We would not exist. You think it's bad now? Politics. Detroit, Chicago was awful. So,
oh my God, that's awesome.
Thankfully, everybody moved on. But and Chicago's turned back around, and they, like Toast just held up the little banner there. They turned it around. They embraced Chelios. They had Toast has I hope you still have your ticket stub for that, or if you don't, or have a picture of it on your phone. But what a send off for his retirement, jersey retirement. It was like, probably the best I've ever seen. So it's turned around for him. I saw him when he did the Chicklets live show up in Chicago. Huge ovation. The guy singing the 7th inning stretch for the Cubs. So all's forgiven, I guess, but mostly just because Detroit's not in the Norris division anymore.
And JT, before you head here, I just want to say one thing real fast, and I'll actually give the floor to you because I know you actually want to say something here. But me actually going to that Chelios jersey retirement deal, maybe this is kind of a knock on me that I haven't been to many sporting events my entire life, which is kind of crazy. I've been to some good ones. Best sporting event I've ever been to my entire life. And I haven't never been in any championship games as far as the Game 7s and stuff like this, but they did it right, man. And he's a Blackhawk. That's just a lot of pride there. And the way they sent him off in this like 90s up style video and montage he actually did for him, it was just so freaking cool. He comes out and actually in a 57 Chevy black. Everything was black, and it was the best sporting event and the best thing I'd ever been to in a sporting venue ever in my life.
Oh my God, that's really high praise there. It's like next to seeing God in front of me, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and Toast, one of our team names is House Divided, and it's Red Wings and a Blackhawks logo on there because they're like, But I think over the years, because the fact that the Wings are now in the East, they're still rivals. They still want to beat each other pretty badly when they play each other. But I think there's a little less animosity now that they're on the opposite side. I still say a Red Wings Blackhawks Stanley Cup Finals would be the craziest thing to ever happen. Those tickets would go for unreal money. The Blackhawks and Wings fans that would be dying to get those tickets would be insanity. But I think the Chelios thing, there was a lot of hatred when he went to the Wings because that was, man, that was in the prime of them just being absolute bitter rivals. I think over the years, because now the Wings have moved on, it's eased a little bit. I think the Blackhawks fans really kind of got over it, and it didn't totally get over it, but we're like, okay, we can understand it now, and we can appreciate Chelios for who he is and being one of the all-time best American hockey players. I think as you see that, and I think, if you play in a city like Chicago, not that they don't love the foreign born players like they do, but man, when you get a guy like a Patrick Kane or Chelios, an American born guy, I just think it makes a difference. Like they just love those guys so much more because there's been a lot of good American born players, but we've seen a lot of the top end guys are Canadians or Russians or Europeans. And I think when you see those American guys, I just think when you're from a Midwest city, especially when you see a guy like Chelios from there, I just think it hits a little different. And so I think when he came back, they went all out for him because they realized, man, this is like a born son. This is our guy. Now, did he go to the rival for a couple years? Yes, but he's still our guy. And so I think that that made a difference when it was all said and done.
Yeah, and a guy that actually played for all three original six franchises. He actually starts off in Montreal. He actually goes to Chicago. Then he actually comes over and then goes to Detroit as well. Not too many guys could actually say that.
So sorry for crashing the party for a little bit, but you started talking about the Penguins and the Rangers and how they're bad. I just had to jump in and just give my 2 cents there. But seriously, guys, this has been so much fun so far. Peter was an awesome guest. I'm really hoping that he comes back. And of course, you got Vicar Nuno coming up here at 9:00 Eastern, 8:00 Central. So definitely excited for all that. So keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, Jorge. We are near the end of this first period. We're in a 0-0 tie currently between Pittsburgh and the Rangers. 20 shots for the Penguins, 15 for the Rangers here early on. And right as I say that, a goal off the bat. There goes the Penguins putting one in off the face-off. Top shelf backhander. What a freaking shot that was. Unbelievable. And then they show a fan with a blue Penguins jersey, which is phenomenal. One of my favorite throwbacks. I actually have one of those toes. I almost wore it tonight just because since the Penguins were playing. Fantastic backhander right off the face-off. What a freaking goal.
Boy, who was that? That's some sick hands right there.
Justin Brazeau, the one and only.
Huh.
Malcolm with an assist on that, and it looks like Sid Crosby's actually got 3 shots on goal so far in the first period there. A real good indication there for Sid that he's actually going to put the puck on the net this year. And Ricard Raquel with 2 shots on goal or in this game as well. Aaron, I don't know. I know that Peter actually talked about some tri-eligibility players, center, left wing, right wing. Raquel's one of those guys, and Raquel is like 32 years old. He is a guy that's actually come into his own late in his career, and he was a long-time Duck, then actually getting a chance to play with Crosby. And, man, he has been capitalizing. Raquel's a guy that actually targeted in several different drafts this year.
Yeah. Boy, I'm trying to think. He had some decent years in Anaheim, but really what I would probably put as a late bloomer, like you said, early 30s. So kind of coming into his own now, and especially on a team. I think we can all kind of collectively agree that likely will miss the playoffs. But right now, I'm looking through just a prediction guide here. What is this? Hockey News. And they've got him slotted about 60 points this year. So I not too far off pace from what he went last year. But yeah, to your point and to Peter's point, that right wing, left wing kind of Swiss Army knife. You plug him in, he'll play, he'll get you the minutes. Just a solid player. He's not going to turn over the puck. He's not going to throw a pizza across the middle of the ice and have the other team go down and score. And that's the years of the NHL. That's his years playing. So that speak to that. So hats off to him. Yeah. Very smart on your part to target him and get a hold of him.
We want to thank Project 47 Smokehouse for helping sponsor the show tonight. Project 47 Smokehouse, located at 101 North Lombard Street in Mahomet. Enjoy slow-cooked ribs, brisket, pulled pork, cocktails, and everything else for you. Outside patio, open on both sides, open for catering and private events. Check out Project 47 Smokehouse in Mahomet. All right, guys, we're at the end of the first period, here. 1-0 Pittsburgh. A little bit of surprising. Great goal right at the end of the period to get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I just missed that. When I first saw it out of the corner of my eye, I thought it was Gino poking that in. But like you said, Toast, you got the primary assist, so just missed on that. But yeah, I mean, other than that goal, it's been a snooze fest. I don't know if you guys can pick up on your broadcast. And I'm completely ignorant to this, but the Rangers, those sweaters look different. Are those is that an alternate sweater? Or is that a full-time thing? Or do you know the story behind that? They really pop off the screen. I like them.
I'm not sure what if it's a specialty jersey, but it's definitely not their normal home sweaters.
Right.
So
yeah, it's not those
they're definitely
shirts.
An alternate. I did not know that they were doing an alternate jersey tonight, but it doesn't have it's not the normal red with the white outline. It's actually a cream color in the numbers in the line. So I actually did not see that they were going to wear a specialty jersey tonight, but you're correct. They are slightly different.
Yeah. I like the sharp look. Again, off the TV broadcast, it looks decent. It looks good. I saw I couldn't believe I hadn't looked at much at the Rangers just because I'm so uninterested in them, but I did see Rempe out there. So I caught that. I'm like, wow, that's a different look for that team. That's not the typical blue shirt I was expecting. So I don't know.
Well, considering how they played at home in the first period versus a crap Pittsburgh Penguins team, maybe they should actually switch back. I'm just going to put that out there.
It slowed them down. Clearly, there's something odd.
But no, I'll give them credit. They are kind of cool. Even the Rangers on the front's in all white now. It reminds me of when the Cubs a couple of years ago, I would say maybe back in the mid 2010s, they actually went to the stars and stripes kind of like within the C and within their actually numbers as well, which is a really, really cool look. It was a little bit of an off color. And almost like a coffee stain, like in the numbers as well. And I think that this is kind of that look they're kind of going for tonight. And honestly, all jokes aside, it's pretty cool. I like that. And we've seen some pretty cool jersey, I guess, alternate proposals for jerseys as well. There's a couple Hawks ones that are just been phenomenal, which the Hawks are kind of like the Blackhawks. I'm sorry, the Hawks are kind of like the Bears. Being an original franchise of their league, their just little hasn't actually changed a whole lot, right? And we've actually been wanting the Bears, like, man, it would be kind of cool if that actually the Bears went to the white helmet and this and that and everything else, and just really switch it up, and they actually don't. So it's interesting, but I'll give them credit. It looks pretty good.
Yeah. I think we're committing a cardinal sin. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Peter isn't here to hear us, but they're sweaters. Not jerseys, they're sweaters. I gotta keep it going with the sweaters.
I always feel like
sweaters.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I say sweater, someone who doesn't know anything about hockey is like, "What are you talking about?" So I feel myself like saying jersey, even though like when I talk to hockey people, I'm like, I know I need to say sweater instead of jersey, so they're not like, "What are you talking about? You don't know anything about hockey." And then I feel like I'm messing it up, goes back and forth.
We should do a show. We should do a pod. We should just bring on the hockey lingo. I mean, again, we all have familiarity with sports, obviously, growing up, Central Illinois, Big Ten football, the Bears, the Colts, whatever. Just that's kind of all in our wheelhouse, but there's not more slang than there is with hockey. There's so many slang, and I'm not talking about something you shouldn't say. Like I'm completely clean. You name a goal is a tuck, an assist is an apple, a bad pass is a pizza. Probably name 25 just off the top of my head. It's just very unique in that vernacular that the sweaters versus jersey things. When you're talking to a Canadian and an American, you can tell within, even if the accent doesn't throw it doesn't give it away. Either way, you hear the American accent, you hear the Canadian accent. That if that's neutral, wait till you hear the jersey or the sweater, then you'll know.
I was laughing. Jorge just popped up here and he said soda. He said exactly sweater over jersey and then soda over pop. And I just got in this conversation the other day with my girlfriend because she was like, "Why do you say soda all the time?" Because we're from the Midwest, so Midwest people say pop. And I told her I had to literally consciously make myself start saying soda because I lived on the West Coast and the East Coast, and people would look at me like I was insane when I'd say pop. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, pop. Well, like a Coke or a Pepsi, like that's soda. What do you like? No one had ever heard of it. I looked like a crazy. So every time I went to say pop, I'd have to stop myself, think about it, and go soda. And so now I say soda all the time because for years I lived on the East Coast and the West Coast, and I talked myself into saying soda. Now I always say soda, and everybody around me is like, "You mean pop?" I'm like, it's an issue.
It's tough in your line of work as a business owner. You got to know, you got to get that down, get that right. Yes.
Hey, Aaron. Before we have our next guest on here, and Victor Nuno with Dauber Prospects, which we're super actually pumped to have him on. Let's do a quick recap of that Hawks Panthers game. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of the Blackhawks, the way they went in there and actually played that game and had that awful first period and actually come back and really made it competitive hockey. You had a lot of the young guys be your best players on the ice with Frank Nazar. Connor Bedard looked amazing. It was so much faster this year. I can't believe it. And Renzel actually played solid, good minutes as well. Yes. And they were your core of the team. And maybe talk a little bit about Spencer Knight as well. Again, we mentioned it before. He stood on his head tonight. He gave them a chance. Yes. And he kept them in the game in the first period. But I was pretty encouraged about what I saw. It couldn't get any worse defensively, and also from a team perspective, actually playing team hockey in the first period. It was pretty ugly, but they rebounded well.
Yeah. Yeah, again, we went on the air a little bit later, or I shouldn't say later. We went on a time, but we it gave a chance to really deep dive and watch the Hawks. So really two things that I noticed. First was the cycle time in the offensive zone. So when we were on the attack, I saw more cycle than I did last year. And what I mean by that is puck gets in the corner. You got a guy in there. You're playing the corner. Defender comes on your back. You're kind of mucking around with the puck. You scoot it down, maybe a quarter of the way down the board. The next guy anticipates that move. He comes in and he picks it up. So you just kind of run that cycle, or like the picket fence from Hoosiers. The next man up, So it's not anything new. The hockey's been doing it for years, but I did notice him going in and having that next guy up. Last year's team, a little bit more run and gun. You run in, you maybe deep by a defender. He'd have help. He'd try to stop you at the blue line. Other defender come around. So not many last year. Not many odd man breaks for the Hawks. So you get around one guy, but the other guy ties you up. And then what do? They get the puck. It's going the other way. They got the puck in deep. They cycled it more. And that's what was missing from the forward group last year. I don't know if it's the coaching change. I don't know if it's the players. TJ Oshie, by the way, he did the panel for ESPN. He did an awesome job. I think it was him that pointed out that Bedard's now playing with his peers. So you've got those younger guys, Nazar, you've got the Renzel, all the guys you just mentioned, Lashavyov. I don't know. It's JT and I, we just got to stay away from the Russian names, but you've got these younger guys. So maybe there's a comfort that comes with that. You don't have the veterans on there. You don't have the weight of the world. You don't have the kind of the Hawks are on a trajectory now, a clear trajectory. Maybe that has kind of gotten some of those nerves. So yeah, love what I saw. It's hard to say that after a loss, but it's a 1-goal loss. I thought we should have probably lost by 6. And to your point on Spencer Knight, last thing I'll say, Spencer Knight stood on his head. None of those goals were bad goals. Those were all legit good goals. Patrick Waugh in 1988 would have let those goals in that he did. They had no shot at him, but he was making saves he should have made. He made saves he shouldn't have made because of his talent. I loved this game from Spencer Knight. I can't wait for more from him. Now's the time. If you're a hockey card collector such as myself, invest heavy in Spencer Knight. Easy to say based on one game. I mean, that could come back to haunt you, but for right now, buy now, buy low.
I told you guys when I saw this trade go through, I was super excited about it. I'm like, man, you go get a guy as a former first-round pick this early. I'm like, I absolutely love it. And I mean, I was telling Toast before we started the show, I'm still a little shocked that the Panthers gave him up. I mean, I know they went and got Seth Jones, but I'm like, man, Bobrovsky's older. If he gets injured, I'm surprised they let Knight go. But I thought it was a great move for the Blackhawks. They were kind of wasting Seth Jones. With the rebuild, like you might as well put that guy on a contender. And then I love Knight. Getting a young guy like this, let him learn. If he gives up goals, you're over there, you're like, you're not upset at him. You're like, hey, man, just keep playing. Just keep staying in it because it's not like he's blowing games for you that's like going to cost you making the playoffs. You know you're not making the playoffs. Let's be honest. You know you're not. So, like, let the guy get experience. Let him get, like, nothing can be better for Spencer Knight than getting all these stops and losing by 1 goal to the defending 2-time champs. Like, dude, you just played out of your mind. That's a confidence builder. I mean, it's a loss, but that's a confidence builder. I loved the move for the Blackhawks to go get him, get a young guy. You're already young. Let him build with the team. And there's a chance, said it in the last hour with Peter was a perfect example. He's like, you never can trust goalies. He's a perfect example. You can't trust goalies. But if he's got a shot to be maybe the next great Blackhawks goaltender, you might as well go get a young guy and let him build with the rest of these guys and create some kind of, feeling where he's getting used to these defenders. He's getting used to the offensive guys. You might as well do that as opposed to going out and get a 35-year-old journeyman. I mean, how is that helping your team? So I love the move. I thought Spencer Knight played fantastic. Me and Toast picked him up in one of our category leagues this week, and we're playing him. He might not be an all-the-timer in fantasy, but I'm telling you, keep your eye out on him. Depending on your league scoring, if they don't give you huge negative points for losses and you getting nice save, either save percentage or saves in general in head-to-head leagues or category leagues, I think Spencer Knight can be playable in fantasy. I really do like him. I think it's a huge upgrade for the Blackhawks. I absolutely love it. I'm pumped after watching this first game. Again, I felt like we talked about it endlessly last year, but for a bad team, they actually play pretty tough a lot of the time. I feel like we're going to get a lot of that again this year where the Blackhawks aren't going to get it done a lot of the time, but you're going to be like coming away going, man, we're right there. We're right there. They're in the mix. And as we talked about in the last segment, I feel like I can root for the Blackhawks now. We're in different divisions. We're in different conferences. It doesn't even matter. I'm rooting for the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. Like I told you, nothing would be better. We're mortgaging the houses, boys, if Blackhawks, Red Wings get in a Stanley Cup final. We're buying tickets. I'm telling you right now. If it happens in the next 5, 6, 7 years, we're going.
Well, and I'll say right before we bring on Victor here as our next guest of the night, I want to say that trade made all the sense in the world for the Hawks. And just being a Hawks fan and actually just watching trades around the league, you get a first-round pick from Florida. You actually get rid of most of a $9.5 million AAV contract with Seth Jones. I think the Hawks retain $2.5 million of that as well. And you get Spencer Knight, 24 years old. It made sense for Seth Jones to go. That was actually Stan Bowman's signing when he was actually here, and we actually kind of know how he operated. And rebuild it. This did not actually make sense. So everybody wins in this trade. Everybody does. Seth Jones actually goes and wins a cup with Florida. He doesn't actually have to be the mainstay in the amongst the Chicago media, and actually really playing that role, which is really not his style, so to speak, and actually fits his personality. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Fantastic. I think we've got our next guest has arrived right on time, like a professional that he is. We are bringing in Victor Nuno. Fantastic guest. We're pumped to have him. Toast. This is just phenomenal. Toast, I just want to say thanks for reaching out and getting him. This is a great guest tonight and our second annual opening night live cast. Victor Nuno, editor at Dauber Prospects, host of Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. If you've never watched it, go check it out. It's a fantastic show. Victor, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, Victor, get us started off. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Dauber Prospects. It's a fantastic site. We reference it on the show constantly. We love the site. We check it out all the time. Let us know what you do over there.
Yeah, so I do a few things. I'm an editor at Dauber Prospects. I contribute to some of the writing for the Dauber Prospects report that comes out, over the summer, some of the team previews and things like that. I also write the Journey over at Dauber Hockey, which is the weekly article that kind of looks at prospects. So kind of same thing, looking at different topics, different leagues. Right now, kind of looking at prospects that are maybe a little ahead of the curve in preseason, training camp, those kinds of things. So those are the two main things that I do at Dauber. And yeah, I love there's so many other things that happen at Dauber and Dauber Prospects that I reference it a lot too. It's a great site.
Hey, now, Victor, hey, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Super pumped to have you. Want to ask you some questions about basically, for maybe the casual fans, those that are actually maybe new to fantasy hockey and even new to the Dynasty playing actually hockey as well. But we have all these leagues. You got the Western Hockey League, OHL, the AHL, the NCAAs. You got Swedish Hockey League as well. If you were to actually explain that to maybe let's say a 15-year-old who actually never got into hockey before, was actually going to try Dynasty hockey, and you could explain it in the simplest terms, what are those leagues? How are those feeder leagues actually feed into the NHL? And how do we keep them all straight?
Yeah, it's a really great question. I've actually had to do that to, casual friends or other people. And it's really not easy because, like in college in football and in other sports, it seems like there's a little bit of a more straightforward feeder program to the pro leagues. But in hockey, there's different leagues that feed into it. There's junior leagues in the US and Canada. And a lot of those European leagues are professional, Sweden, Finland, Czechia, Russia, although some of them have junior leagues as well. But they all have they're all trying to be their own best league, right? Basically. And so that's a big part of it. But a lot of the best prospects do feed into the NHL. And so it's difficult to have an equivalency across those leagues. And I think one of the best things to do is look at some of these different sites that have equivalencies across different leagues to show what this prospect could probably do in their prime in the NHL. And there's mathematical formulas that look at that. So that's something that I think is useful to say, okay, this person scored 80 points in this junior hockey league. How does that equate to what they might do in the NHL? Same with like Russian leagues. And the other thing I would say is that a lot of times the younger prospects, the ones who do really well in the professional leagues, the Liga, the SHL, and Russia, those prospects who succeed as teenagers in professional leagues tend to have the highest upside because that's a really difficult league. Same with the AHL, guys who do, 19, 20. If they're able to really hang that early, then it usually projects pretty well. But that doesn't mean that if you're, in the CHLs or the USHL, NCAA, that doesn't mean that that's not the case. But it is really hard to draw equivalencies across the leagues. And that is probably one of the hardest things is you see one guy just tearing up the WHL and how does that compare to this guy in Finland or Russia? And it's really hard, so we try to use a bunch of different formulas and, eye test expertise, combine all those things to kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and Victor, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do know off the top of your head, and you probably do, the age groupings for each one of those leagues, like which league comes first, which league comes second, like is there 15 and 16-year-olds and then 17 and 18-year-olds for those WHL, OHL, and then how does that work, I guess, for the casual fan?
Yeah, so the CHL, USHL leagues, those tend to be, 15 to, 19, 20-year-olds. That's typically the biggest age groupings, although you do have some overagers in those leagues, but generally that's for the really young players. And there's equivalencies of those in Europe, so they have the same junior leagues there. For them, for the European leagues, it's a little bit more straightforward because they have their own junior version of the SHL and then an intermediate and then a professional. And so it kind of goes seamlessly from top to bottom. In North America, it's a little less straightforward because you have all these different feeder leagues and they all kind of want to end up in the NHL, which so does everyone else from every other country. And so it's not so straightforward. In the NCAA, they tend to be older. Of course, I'm sure you're aware, maybe some other fans are not, but the new rules that are changing with who can enter the NCAA, it's going to shift that probably to be a little bit of a younger league, but it has tended to be more of an older league, players that are more in their 20s. And then the AHL has rules that if you go the North American route or the CHL route, you can't play until you're 20. And so that has really been difficult for some of these players that are caught in the middle, where they're not quite ready for the NHL, but they're too good for the CHL. And so that makes it really difficult for them to figure out where to play. These issues are less with European players because they can come over early and go straight to the AHL, or they can finish sort of marinating in their home country league. So it's so complicated. There's so many nuances to it. I could totally understand how people just want to kind of throw their hands up and not really try to figure out what's going on. But it is something that, with a little bit of patience and understanding, you can kind of get the hang of it.
Yeah, so the other night, I noticed that being a Hawks fan, and JT actually has a share of Anton Frondell as well. Frondell actually scored a hat trick the other night in a man's league, right? In a professional league, the Swedish Hockey League as well. How big of a deal is that? I understand it's one game, but nevertheless, for somebody his age, I'm maybe 18, maybe at this point to actually come over and actually do that. How big of a deal is that early on?
I think it's a huge deal, actually. So when sometimes you see players who are 20, 21, 22, and they have these, really outstanding, explosions of point production. And I always try to remind people that's great, but it's less impressive the older they are. When you're doing this, the younger you are, when you're doing that at 18-year-old in the SHL, which by most equivalencies is probably the third or fourth best league in the world, probably the fourth best. That is super impressive. That just doesn't happen. Teenagers don't tend to have that offensive explosion in those really difficult leagues. So I think it's actually a really big deal. We'll see if he sustains it, but that does make a big difference. Whereas in the WHL or OHL, you see some of these top prospects really dominate, and it doesn't mean that they're not as good, but it's a little less impressive because the competition isn't as difficult. The goalies tend to not, then the structure of the leagues tend not to be quite as good. So I think it really, when you see these teenagers in these professional leagues score really well, and you can draw direct correlations with people who have done it before, it tends to mean that they're going to be substantial producers in the NHL.
I was pumped to see that, Toast. You know me. I in our home league, I went a little crazy and I took him over Miso. A lot of people thought I was crazy in our heavy bangers league, but I was like, I couldn't help myself. I just went a little crazy. It was probably not the smart move, but I just couldn't do it. I love the Swedish players. I was like, the heavy bangers league. He's a big body guy. I think could end up being a hitter in the AHL too. So at least I felt good for one day that I didn't totally blow it. But we'll see we'll see what ends up happening when it's all said and done. I did take Miso in our points league because I was like, I'm not gonna do it twice. I'll do it once, but not twice.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I brought that up. No one was kind of a big deal, and I was hoping you'd actually agree, Victor. It was kind of a big deal that he actually scores a hat trick. I follow that casually. I don't see that too often, but just knowing that may actually help lessen the blow. JT actually passing on Michael Misa and actually going to get Anton Frondell as well. Quick, SHL versus the KHL. What's a more competitive league? So if we're looking at statistics as far as young players, what can we take from both those leagues?
Well, if you look at there's several different equivalencies that look at league competitiveness. And it's true that this has shifted over time, but in general, it's NHL is the hardest, then AHL, which most people probably didn't realize, and then KHL, and then typically Sweden. And then after that, it gets a little murky, SHL, sorry. And so then some say Czechia, some say Finland. There's a lot of variation there. And then as you go down, it gets much and much less until you get to NCAA is actually pretty close to some of the Euro professional, non-KHL Euro professional leagues, which is pretty high up there, but far ahead of WHL, OHL. So yeah, it's the SHL being definitely one of the most competitive leagues. And so it's a big deal to have that. And I just wanted to mention something that you brought up, the BASH, the block shots and hits, the peripheral contribution. This is something that we track at Fantasy Hockey Life, and we have these player cards that look at that. So I was just looking it up. Misa is actually quite a bit lower for that, and Frondel does have a pretty strong contribution to hits. And so that's something that I was always curious about. So I developed these cards to basically be able to track that, because I was like, I want to know. And he, in the Allsvenskan last season, was 76th percentile for hits and 92nd percentile for shots. So you're getting a lot of that peripheral contribution. But personally, I would have taken Misa.
That was a smarter decision. I got first off, the fact he's Swedish. I love the Swedish hockey team. And then he went to the Wings, and my girlfriend, who's a big Blackhawks fan, was like, "Oh, you got to take the guy who went to the Red Wings." And I was like, we're in a heavy bangers league. He's a big kid. He's always said, I was like, I talked myself into it. It was probably not the right decision, but I still hope that it ends up working out well for me. Like I said, I took him in another league. I took Misa because I didn't want to totally go all out on Rondell, but I do like him a lot as a prospect.
Yeah, and fantasy hockey is for fun, right? So you have some fun. You get the guy that you can cheer for. I think that that's reasonable, right? They're not that far apart that it's a total disaster or anything.
Yeah, Victor, and you actually mentioned the player cards you actually actually put together there for Fantasy Hockey Life there, but. With Dauber prospects, one of the things that actually helped me just as a fantasy manager, actually drafting Dynasty, is actually going on the site and actually looking at players with actually their fantasy upside. Let's say it's an 8.0, and their NHL certainty be like a 7.5. That's helped. That's helped a great deal. Now, I don't really know how those numbers are computed. I think there's a little icon next there that kind of shows you, but it's a little gibberish for me. I can't really understand exactly how those numbers came about. Could you maybe expand on that a little bit? And because again, we don't get all of these college games. We do get some actually on ESPN. We can actually watch, but the overseas games as well. Like there's just a lot of players that we don't have access to. You can find them on YouTube and stuff like that. But we rely on that a great deal for just saying, you know what? Dauber prospects actually think this guy's going to make the NHL. And not only is he going to make the NHL, but he's going to actually have a pretty big impact as well from a fantasy perspective. So how does that all work?
That's a great question. And I will say that I think it's probably a little bit different depending on who you ask, because there are multiple editors. And so and there are different writers for each team. So when the writers input the profile and they update the profile, they make their guess as to what it is. And then the editors, and usually I would say that the senior editors, which is not me, there's a couple of more senior guys, they tend to kind of override it if it seems off. But I can tell you how I do it, and that's basically looking at several factors, including what production they've had. Most of this is related to points, but a lot of it I tend to look at also contracts. If they're already given a contract, well, that's a huge feather in their cap, right? Because a lot of times they aren't given a contract, their rights are held, and then they're held and they're held and they're not ever signed. Well, that's not a good sign, right? And then if they tend to regress their production, they don't tend to move forward year after year, that also tends to be something that might knock them back a bit. So I would say it's a really holistic sort of evaluation of where were they drafted. That's a big part of it. What team are they on? Did they get a contract already? How's their production? Is it progressing or is it stalling? Those are all things that you need to look at. And so that all is factored into it, and the writers do that initial assessment, and then one of the editors comes in and maybe changes it if they don't necessarily agree with it. So it isn't so simple as just looking at one thing or one number, and I don't think it should be, right? Because there are a lot of factors that go into it. So that's kind of how it works, which maybe isn't the best answer, but it is a little tricky.
Yeah, I always think when it comes to Dynasty, one of the things that is a little bit harder for hockey for people is like, how do you handle your minor leaguers, right? How do you figure out what guys to keep, what guys to drop? When is kind of the cut point for a guy where you're going, hey, held this guy for a couple of years, he's at this certain age, maybe it's time to kind of cut bait and go to another guy. Do you have like some of those things, like factors that you look at, age, like you said, the contracts is this big thing I always look at, like, hey, is this guy, are they keeping this guy around, or is he kind of being like a 1-year loose deal? Are there some of those things that you look at as far as fantasy wise that kind of can help people like that aren't, don't do the deep dives, that can kind of help them with their minor leaguers on fantasy teams?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, one of the things that I developed my own rankings at Fantasy Hockey Life because of exactly what you're saying, because I find it very tricky to figure out. And so mine is a 1 to 10 or 0 to 10 scale, with 10 being Connor McDavid on your roster, never benched, always started. That's easy, right? And then a 5 is like your basically replacement level guys, the guys that, they might be on your roster, but they're not that interesting. And below that is just not that interesting, right? So you have your 5s, your 6, your 7s, your 8s, your 9s, and 10s. And so 7 is like a well above average, player, maybe like a Bryan Rust or something like that, someone who you like. And then I attach a percentage to that. So I'm just happen to be looking at Frondell's card right now, and that's 7.33. So I grade that as a 33% chance of being an above a 7, a well above average player on your roster. So that's how I like to grade it, because if you have these guys who have tremendous upside but aren't very likely to hit that, you kind of need to factor that in, because you can't have too many of those guys on your roster. You can't have half your minors roster just be lottery tickets, right, that aren't necessarily going to play. So I think what you really need is a blend of high floor guys that are going to play but maybe don't have a tremendous upside, and then you have some of those guys that are tremendous upside but don't necessarily have the highest likelihood, and then a mixture in between of that, so you kind of can blend both of them. And I think the way you get to those numbers is kind of what I was saying. Yeah, you look at all those factors, you look at how are they progressing. You want the guys to improve their production year after year. Now that changes, like in the CHL, if they're going CHL, and then they jump to the AHL, you're going to expect a little bit of slowing down of their point production, but then their second AHL year, you want to continue to see a step forward. And when you look at these equivalencies, like on Mason Black's NHL ranking, you want to see a kind of mostly upward trajectory of that. You don't want to necessarily see a like big up and down or a downward trend. So you're looking at trends, you're looking at equivalencies, you're looking at contracts, you're looking at all of those things. And I think for me, the biggest thing is like, each time they take a step to a more difficult league, do they at least maintain their equivalency? That's a really big thing, because I don't necessarily expect them to do better in a more difficult league. When they do, then they're an elite prospect, obviously, and so that's great. But at least if they could hold it steady. If they start to trend down, then I kind of put them on notice. All right, you got a year to figure this out. And if you continue to trend down after that, I'm tempted to drop them or to move on, because one of the worst things you can do with these guys is just hold on to them too long, right? And then you're left there holding the bag, So if that happens where they're starting to regress, best to just kind of move on and, find someone else and get a draft pick for them, or get something and kick the decision down the line. So I often like to do that with guys that are maybe stalling out. Okay, just give me a draft pick, give me something, let someone else hold that, and then I can make a new pick and then wait on someone else. And sometimes you hit on those, and at least I'm not continuing to hold that player when the upside is minimal.
Now that's great insight, and it reminds me of our home league. It is a dynasty league, but it's very, very interesting because we only actually hold 10 minor leaguers, and the minor leaguers actually lose their minor status after 82 games played for the skaters, and then 25 for the goalies as well. So they got to produce right away. So we're constantly in a position where, boy, if you got a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old actually on your minor league roster, odds are you're punting them, because they're you only have such a small grouping on your dynasty roster where, you don't have time to actually wait around for them to do that. And the reason we actually did that was the fact that it is a casual league, like a home league, but we actually want to make it dynasty as well. So we kind of made it a little bit easier dynasty, meaning we didn't want to make the rosters 30, 35 deep on the minor side. We only made it in 10, so that kind of leads me in to another question here for you, Victor, is for, let's say you actually have a WHL or an OHL actually player, let's say they're 17 years old. And prior to them actually getting drafted, they put up maybe 50 goals, 50 assists, 100 points. They're just lighting the world on fire. And that happens a lot. All things actually equal, if you wanted to see that they wanted, and this may be a difficult question, but if you wanted to see they want to maintain that same level of play, let's say they were drafted and let's say they did happen to go to an AHL, considering the team just not ready for them to play yet. What would you expect? And again, I know it's difficult. Every player is different, but what would you expect to be their next step, right? 20 goals, 25 goals? I would imagine they're going to be center in line one, hopefully.
I mean, probably not in the AHL, quite frankly. That's a big step. So for a player to go from, killing it in junior to being first line in the AHL, that just doesn't really happen. That's a big step. So I would hope that. So I think that bar might be a little high. I think if they could be middle six and producing, close to half point per game, I think that would be a success. I think it's a huge transition, because a lot of times, especially in the CHL, a lot of these players are really good with the puck, right? They're really good on the puck. They're really good creating in the offensive zone. But when you watch them away from the puck, they're like invisible, right? They don't necessarily do as much. And this was even true with like Gavin McKenna over the weekend, right? Who had a great weekend and his team, did well. But watching him away from the puck, a lot of scouts are even talking about like, he's got work to do, and that's fine. Like, he's going to be great still, and he can be taught those things. But a lot of guys are like that. They just really need to round out their game. And the AHL is a men's league. It's competitive. It's not a training league. Like, they really need to be competitive in all aspects of the game, 200 feet. So that's a big part of the transition too. And I think that this is what you're describing is very similar to what's happening with like a Nick Lardis right now, right? I mean, he scored 71 goals in the OHL last year, and he's going to the AHL. Do I expect him to score 25, 30 goals? No, not really. Like, I think that would be great if he did, but I think he's got a lot to work on to round out his game. And I think that if he could score, 15 to 20, that would be great. I don't think the expectation should be too much higher than that. He's got a lot to do to work away from the puck. He's got a lot to do to round out his defensive game. And I think that can't be understated how difficult that can be for some players. Obviously the Celebrinis are in a different stratosphere, and his game was so mature. Even Misa, right? Like, his game is pretty mature. That's why he's starting in the NHL. And that's a big part for a lot of these players, is that if they're away from the puck game is rounded out, they don't need that as much. But a lot of them, you see, they really need that time.
That is great context there, because you always wonder specifically with the artist, of course, being a Hawks fan, but not only that, even if I wasn't a Hawks fan, I picked him up. He was actually a pickup on my dynasty team, considering we actually only field 10, and I got him. We'll see what actually happens, right, with 70 goals and stuff. But mentioning prospects, and we got a couple more minutes here left with you, and we really appreciate you actually being on. This has been fantastic. I want to hear maybe your opinion, not only as a somebody that actually works in the game, but also too as a fan. Which prospect pool from which NHL team do you like the best? Which ones do you actually cheer for? Who do you like?
Yeah, well, since I grew up a Sharks fan, being close to the Bay Area, and so that was my team. When I started podcasting and writing about hockey, I tried to be more objective. I think that's something that we always try to do. And so I sort of gave up my fandom hat and to try to be more of a podcaster objective type person. And so I don't really like, if the Sharks win a Stanley Cup in the next 10 years, I'll be happy, but I try to be really objective and not root for anyone. That being said, I do think the Sharks have the best prospect pool, and I think most people would agree with that. I mean, they have what probably is going to be an all-star goalie. They have 2 number 1 centers in Celebrini and Misa, in my opinion. They have several good wingers. The part that really slips a little bit is the defense. I mean, they have Sam Dickinson. Luca Cagnoni looks pretty good, but they don't quite have the depth there. But they also probably get another good pick or two. So I think that they'll be fine. But having a stud at every position is not something a lot of teams can say, and I think even your Blackhawks there, they have a pretty good young goalie. They obviously have an elite, forward, and they have several really good young defensemen. I just don't think they're quite at the same level as what the Sharks have. And especially, we'll see. Maybe Nazar and Bedard can give the Celebrini Misa 1-2 punch a run for their money. I think it'll be close, but I do think I would lean Sharks at this point. I think they also have a lot more depth. Like beyond those top 5, they have just a whole load of really interesting players. And I think that, that goes a long way too. I mean, between Smith and Chernishoff and Musty and, Haltonen and guys down the list, it's pretty stacked. So I think that they're going to be a really fun team to watch. And the vibes have been so good in San Jose too, right? Like the sleepovers with Smith and Celebrini, like it's just been kind of fun. Like I don't remember a bad team that's been as fun to watch. They just tend to have fun out there, and they're kind of loose and trying to score, which is really fun.
Yeah, I'm going to let JT respond to that. But boy, JT loves him some Sharks. He loves that West Coast hockey, late night hockey. JT, you're pretty happy to hear that, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm a big time West Coast hockey lover. I used to live in San Diego, went to numerous Kings games. My roommate, my freshman year of college at San Diego State, huge San Jose Sharks fan. His dad had season tickets back in the early days when they just started up in San Jose. So I've liked the Sharks for a long time. I tell you what, those alternate jerseys, Toast, we talked about last year with the black with just the shark fin, I thought were phenomenal. I love those. So I was just in a Discord today talking about the Sharks with a bunch of fans from California. They were like, they're going to be pretty bad. I'm like, they might not get a lot of wins, but I was like, this team is going to be fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, they have a ton of talent. I was like, for fantasy purposes, they are going to be real good. I was like, you're going to love them because they're going to be in a lot of games where they're going to have to score points. And I just love the talent. What they've done with this team, to me, they're not there yet, and we know that, but man, there's just a lot of guys to like on this franchise. And I think that it takes time, but if they keep being persistent and keep going where they're going, I really like this team. I already told Toast this is going to be my favorite 9:30 Central Time team I throw on and watch this year. I'm going to be watching all the West Coast Sharks games. I'm going to be putting in nonstop live bets on Celebrini and guys to get goals and assists. I really like this team, so I'm glad you brought them up and that you're a fan of them, because I just think this team, along with the Hawks, like we talked about, and tell us where they're coming from. And I feel like the Red Wings are just a hair ahead of those guys, but they finally got these young guys coming up. They're finally making some moves. And they're kind of on the verge as well after, a decade of kind of being out of it. I think all three teams, they're not there yet, but I think they're exciting teams. I can't wait to watch all of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Mike Greer masterclass in turning this around, right? Doug Wilson, for a long time did a good job there, but I feel like when the salary cap started, he didn't really understand how to use that. He gave out so many bad contracts that hamstrung the Sharks during their competitive window. It was really awful to see, just being saddled with these terrible contracts. And once Greer took over, he just started acquiring guys, putting them in positions to succeed, and then flipping them for asset after asset after asset, and just, making really good selections and trades. So he's done an excellent job, and they're set up for a long time here. And one of the hardest things to do is to do the rebuild and keep your fans engaged. And they've getting Celebrini really helps, obviously, but they've done a really good job of that. People are still excited to watch the Sharks, even though they're so bad, and they're probably going to get another top 5 pick this year. It's a really difficult thing to do, and you see a lot of teams not quite do it well, and so it's really nice to see a team actually be able to do it.
You gotta love that hopium, right? At least if your team is bad, you gotta love that you're actually getting legit prospects and guys that teams like your fans can be pumped about. You get nothing's worse as a fan, in my opinion, than you go to the store and you want to buy a sweater or a jersey of the team and you just don't even know who to buy because you're like, oh, is this guy going to be on the team after this year? Like how much longer? Like it's at least you can go and get some exciting young players. You can grab that sweater and you know you're going to wear it for at least a couple of years, hopefully. So I'm a big fan of the young guys. I always like the rookies. I always like, guys. Even when I was younger, I always wanted the rookie cards. I always wanted the teams that had all the young players. So these teams excite me. They're just fun to watch. And then you see these guys kind of grow into their own as NHL players. And I kind of saw that a lot with the Hawks, with the Hawks and with San Jose last year. And like I said, Toast, I'm going to probably watch more Sharks games than almost any other team this year because I get off work, I get home, I'm all over that West Coast hockey. So I'm Sharks are my number one on the West Coast this year. I've got them locked in to watch the late night games.
Yeah, and the reason I like the Sharks is they passed the eye test for me offensively. It doesn't really matter who they're actually playing. They're going to be able to put up some goals, and that's kind of what you want to see. That's the difference between the Hawks and San Jose as well. Is the Hawks really aren't actually good at controlling the puck. They'll get outshot quite a bit, and we saw that tonight. I mean, we didn't really expect anything different really going into the defending two-time Stanley Cup champions and actually getting outshot 2-1. That's about what you expect. But with San Jose, you don't really expect that. And we know that their defense really isn't up to par right now. They give up a whole lot of goals. Askarov, that's a great pickup. It's kind of like a Spencer Knight pickup, kind of equivalent. So they're just fun. They're a fun team to watch. They put up a lot of goals. They have that offense. They don't know how to play a lick of defense yet, but they will. I'm very, very much looking forward to watching them all year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Victor, we appreciate you coming on, man. Really excited to have you on the show. We're pumped for hockey. I know you were pumped for hockey as well. Nothing's better than the opening night puck drop, getting everything going. Make sure to check out Victor over there at Dauber Prospects. Also, Fantasy Hockey Life podcast is a great podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe that. Check that out as well. Any final thoughts you got for us, Victor? As we appreciate you giving us some time tonight.
Looking like you said, the beginning of the season is what we've been waiting for. It's just been a great time, and definitely follow me on X and check out Fantasy Hockey Life and read the journey. Oh, also, I was going to mention that I also started an article at McGlynn's. They wanted me to write something, so I'm doing a Dynasty stock watch, which basically looking at each team by team, prospects, who you might want to buy, who you might want to sell. So go check those out. Those are going team by team. I think we did Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Utah. So kind of going in no particular order.
Ooh, Utah. Aaron Tometich is going to be all over that. He's a big Mammoth fan. Give us your Twitter handle, will you?
It's at Victor Nuno 12. So VictorNuno 12.
Fantastic. I appreciate you so much again for coming out, and everyone go check out everything he has to offer. Obviously, fantastic insight tonight on everything hockey. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Aaron, I know you were in the background kind of listening to that. Man, some freaking great insight there from a guy, Victor. Pretty unbelievable. He broke it all down for us. I mean, I hope people listen to that segment. If they miss it, I hope they go back and listen to it again, because he gave us all the good stuff. I mean, these questions we ask all the time. What do you look at this league next to that league? Because it's not like other leagues, like football, basketball, baseball. It's like hockey's a different beast with all these junior leagues and pro leagues overseas. Man, I felt like I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that again, because I'm like, oh man, there's so many guys. I'm like, oh, now I got to reevaluate all my minor leaguers on all my dynasty teams. I got to go back. I got to figure out what league they're playing in, how much points they scored when they moved up from this league to that league. What was the difference? I got to go back and look at all of it. But I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, great interview. Victor's awesome. Kind of feel like it got got a peek behind the curtain there. And again, I mean, I've that as far as websites go, as far as who to draft, as far as who's the next big thing, Dauber, again, they set the standard for hockey. Can't say enough about him, but really what I really liked, we got the trade craft there on the on some of the stats that they put together, some of the draft position, league that they're playing in. But I think the biggest takeaway there is kids playing in men's league. Like, big deal. You're an 18-year-old and you're playing, in the SHL, you're playing the AHL, whatever, and you're playing against these wily veterans, these guys like Corey Perry, these guys like Nick Cousins, like full grown. I know those are NHLers, but point of making, full grown men playing a men's game, playing in a men's league. Kid comes in, they can compete with that. That's what you look for. That's a great way to assess talent. Like, what's this guy doing? How's he doing it? Just really opened my eyes to that. And yeah, there was a couple leagues. I'm looking at my roster as Victor was talking. I'm like, I kind of want to redraft this league now. Can we do a reset? I
just want to say it was super nice of Victor to not completely trash me for my Frondell pick. So
he wanted to. He held back.
He was a little soft with it. He's like, it was the worst pick of all time. I'm like, all right. I was like, he didn't completely trash me for making that pick.
So he was being nice.
So I want to throw up a question that Scott had at the beginning of the show back when at 7:19. He said, "New to hockey, hoping to learn something." Oh boy. Well, I hope you got. I hope you had a notepad, and I hope you had a notepad this entire show because, Victor just took it to a whole other level. So that was amazing.
Yeah, and I like our guest tonight, because honestly, we can actually and really Peter's background is the same as Victor. They actually kind of worked as Dauber prospects, together there. Yeah. But the questions we actually fielded to Peter were more so for let's say the newer hockey, fantasy hockey player. And then really now actually coming here and actually and asking Victor a lot of questions that were more so for the veteran fantasy hockey player, right? For the dynasty leagues and everything else, a deep dive. So you get a little bit of everything. And that's kind of what we want to do tonight, is really just kind of, let's throw everything out on the table. It could actually be a podcast for everybody here at this point. We're going to watch some hockey along the way as well. But I'm the same. I definitely learned a lot. And it is going to cause me to even, I treat myself as a big fan, but when you have guys on like this as well, you tend to actually feel fairly small because they just know so much in the prospect game as well. You're just hoping to take a little bit of that, right? And actually then apply that to your leagues and actually just take a second look at your league, like JT was saying. So can't thank those guys enough for coming on tonight. It's been great.
Now we went through that. We're going to do a little segment here as the games continue. Hopefully you're watching the games tonight. We're going to bring on a couple guys from our home league, kind of chat about our home league and everything like that. So we're going to get those guys added to the screen here. So we'll bring them in. We got the two Johns. We got John McGlynn and John Martinie are going to be coming into the mix. I know John McGlynn, we got McGlynn in. Martinie was here for a second. I think he dropped out, but hopefully he jumps back in here in a second. John, my guy, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it. Oh, John, I don't know. Toast, was that weird for you?
Well, it sounded like Mickey Mouse on steroids, so
John,
maybe
reset the mic. Reset the mic. Yeah. That was interesting.
But then again, I'm glad we got that on tape.
We'll have to replay that for a soundbite later, right? It'll be real interesting. Oh, and then here we go. There's Martinie in the mix. We'll get him in as well. There we go. Boom. We got the whole crew here.
Is that any better?
Fellas? Yeah, John, you're good now. John McGlynn, you're good. You. And Martinie, are you in, brother?
Looks like John Martinie's coming on slowly. Looks like we're getting him here.
Yeah. There you go.
The technical difficulties of a live show, right?
You know, though, honestly, I will say tonight we've passed the test. It's actually been very, very good. Couldn't have actually went better so far. And gosh, I mean, we're out in the elements, guys. I feel like it's a winter classic. Starting to get a little chilly out here. JT's actually got his hat on. We got hockey on the back porch here in the studio, and the lights on. There's a full moon. What more could you actually ask? I mean,
I feel like I was there last year drafting my home team with you guys on that same back porch.
You were here, and it was amazing. But man, I tell you what, this second game here, guys. Before we get into your home rosters, I gave you guys a little bit of homework. I really want you to bring a couple players that you actually like in your home rosters that really are kind of big for your team. You actually want to talk about, but. There's nothing better than this right here. This second game actually is a slow start, but man, we got Colorado. We actually got LA at the 9:30 start. Again, for my bet, my best of the day, I needed Verhaeghe with 4 shots on goal, and I needed Makar with 4 shots on goal. Verhaeghe actually makes it easy. Makar actually is going to do it tonight. I'm going to actually be a winner right out of the gate and actually have some money to play with here for a couple weeks, so I'm pretty pumped about that.
Always good to give the people a winner. Way to go. Way to go.
Yeah, got to get a winner right off the beginning, right? Right, Titch?
Right off the hop. That's the way to do it.
JT, I had some, I opened up my Underdog app for the first time in about 6 months, and I made some parlays for last night's game. I went like 1 for 6 on both of them, just trying to of course, that's nothing came close. Nothing at all.
Well, if you were like me, you would have went 5 or 6. I'm the king of losing one leg of the parlay. Yes. I'd much rather about $100,000 of my life. I would have won one more leg. Is all I needed.
I'd rather lose by $1 million than get lost and lose in the last second on the field goals and stuff like that. For sure. So.
John, real quick, I know we're this is the hockey podcast, but me and you, big T-Law fans, Trevor Lawrence. How about that rushing touchdown to win the game last night in the Monday night game? That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
You know what the funny thing is about that game is I was rooting for Trevor Lawrence. I hope my mom's not listening to this because she's a humongous Patrick Mahomes fan, but I was rooting for Trevor Lawrence, and all game long it looked like he couldn't put anything together. But he just, he made some throws that were just, out of this world. That one down the sideline that pretty much on the final drive, and then getting stepped on his toe and falling backwards, and then trying to get up and falling again, and then running in the end zone was absolutely wonderful. I just, for him he should have had two rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns. It would have been a nice day.
But what about the nose pick, though? What about the nose pick? That was that was not a good look for your boy.
That's all right.
Hey, these things happen. You gotta clear the airwaves when you're trying to win football games, right? That's just the way it works. I loved just popped up on screen. Gail, our buddy Gail, says looks like a bunch of guys are going to finish behind me in the standings this year. I'm already in first place in fantasy hockey. So Gail, thanks for joining us. We're coming to get you, man. We're coming for you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my team is so young. I pretty much sold the farm yesterday and just went from I said, here we go. This is Dynasty. This is what I do. Almost even it's not uncommon for me to do as JT knows, he's in a couple leagues with me. I make my draft and I say, you know what? Who the hell drafted this team? It's nothing like I would have drafted. It doesn't look anything like I usually draft. I don't like it. So I just start selling pieces and say, you know what? I'm going to start from the beginning. And I'm already playoff contenders on a lot of those teams. Fantasy hockey is a little bit different because I'm more of a fan than I am like a fantasy player. It was always about just switching out lineups and getting to know the players and stuff. And then our home league, which, we had 10 teams, we had it going for like 4 or 5, I think 6 years. And then everybody just kind of got sick of it in 1 year. There was, they stopped playing. And then I was off. I didn't play any fantasy hockey for about 4 or 5 years. We wouldn't believe the name change difference that comes down when you don't play fantasy hockey for like 4 or 5 years. You're like, who the hell, especially because you know a lot of the starters, but you don't know the depth players. You don't know the guys that are in the background that are coming up from the minors or coming back from the minors for a couple games and coming back in and are like, who just scored that game-winning goal? This is the first time he's been on the ice in 15 games, and he came on and scored a game-winning goal. Like, I've never heard of this guy before. It's a lot different than football. It's so much more. It's so much more deep in football. In the NFL, you pretty much it's 2 running backs on a roster, maybe 3 sometimes, a quarterback and a backup. There's usually about 4 or 5 receivers. You usually know the 2 main receivers and a tight end. And, of course, everybody knows the quarterback. But in hockey, you're playing like 45-minute shifts. You go out there, or 45-second shifts. You skate out there, throw the puck around, go around the ice back and forth, and then, bam, it's a whole new set of players out there. You got first line, second line, third line. You got, you're looking at penalty kill lines. You're looking at, all kind of power play lines. And the combinations are so different, too. It's like, why is this guy playing center? Why is he playing defense now? He was just playing center. Why is he playing left wing and going back and forth? It's pretty cool because you get to see all the different players kind of unfold on the ice when you're watching hockey. And I just love hockey. Going to Chicago Stadium when I was a kid, going to United Center with the first couple games, going to all the – like I said, I'm more of a fan than a fantasy player, but fantasy just opens the door for get to know all these players. You kind of know who's coming up through the pipes now. And the difference with hockey that I think people understand, but a lot of my friends who do fantasy content say, talk like you're talking to beginners all the time because a lot of people are beginners, So,
yeah.
The things that I say, when I would watch these games, I would just kind of pencil down a handful of people that I knew or that my favorite players, and you have to really kind of just look at the depth charts, and there's a lot of good. Bryan Toast showed me a whole bunch of different sites that you get to know the players, look at the line combinations, look at all the stuff that goes on with these fantasy teams. But it's starting from scratch is a great way to do it because it takes about 2 or 3 years to get to know everybody. But man, it is fun when you do some rookie drafts or play Dynasty. And I think Dynasty helps a lot too because you look at everybody else's rosters and you kind of say, oh, wow, that guy's doing good. Or why did he drop that guy when he just, he scored like 5 goals in the last 2 months, but he doesn't hit anybody, or he doesn't have much ice time, or he doesn't, that kind of stuff. There's another young kid coming up. His contract's over at the end of this year. They're getting rid of him. There's so many different situations in hockey that are similar to football, but also way different. You can't just send guys. I guess you could send guys on a practice squad, but not as frequent as they do in hockey.
Yeah. Hey, John, great points there. I don't know if you had a chance to maybe, take a look at your roster. Are there a couple people in the home league that you really like that you think is going to either A, carry your team, or B, just think it actually has great value? Put you on the spot. If you did that, great. If not, no big deal. Oh, John, I think you're on mute.
Oh, I don't want to, just homer the Austin Power. My team's called Austin Power Play because I have Austin Matthews on my team. I don't want to talk about those guys. I'm rebuilding now, just in case everybody doesn't know. I had a team and I pretty much sold off a bunch of my players yesterday last year, at the end of last year, the teams that were winning. And I got a bunch of draft picks and said, I'll just start from scratch. And the problem with draft picks, unlike the NFL, is that the NFL, the guys who are drafted in the first 2 or 3 rounds are probably going to start somewhere in the first year in the NFL. In hockey, those guys, you could draft somebody in the first round and they can go sit in the minors or go overseas for a couple of years and like, man, I drafted this guy. Where the hell is he at? You're like, oh, he's in Russia or he's in China or he's in somewhere else right now in some developmental league. And it's like, I got to wait 2 or 3 years for my guy to even kind of show up here. It's like, all right, but this is what we play in. It's called a bangers league, and it kind of took me a minute because when I played before, the goalies were like in super flex football. The goalies, every save they got like a quarter of a point. So you got a guy that was saving 30 shots a night. This guy's scoring like 50 points. It was awesome. But on the other hand, you got penalized real bad for giving up goals in this league also. So if you saved only 20 shots to give up 4 goals and got yanked, you got like a -10, and the goal of these things is not to get negative points. I get it, but it was kind of fun scoring. So in this bangers league, I got first guy I want to talk about is I like big dudes. I like big dudes. So I got a guy on my team, Liam Bishop. Okay, Liam Bishop, big dude. Okay, and I was kind of I liked the big guys. I saw in the preseason a couple days ago he got in a fight. All right, he's not going to take shit. He's only 20. What is he? 20. How old is he? Liam Bishop. He is 21 years old.
21.
So young kid. I knew he was 21 or 22. The other guy I was talking about is another young guy too. So I got their age confused for a minute. But I want guys who are going to go out there. When you're talking about how is this guy? How is he? He's 21 years old. He's 6'7", 232 pounds. All right. That's a big dude for any sport, as far as that goes. On skates, you're looking at an extra 3 or 4 inches when you got skates on. That guy looks like he's 7 foot tall skating on the ice. There's a lot of big dudes in the NHL, but I like big guys who are physical. We get points for block shots. We get points for playing defense, for hits, for all the stuff that you see. And I think this guy Liam Bichsel is going to be that guy who's going to make some plays, who's going to be throwing some people around, not afraid to get in there. The problem is I look at the lineups. When I went on to Dallas's roster, and I see he's only on the third line of the defense, and it's like, okay, he's not on any special teams, he's not on any power play killing, he's not on nothing, but he's young. That's going to develop. I want a developmental player. I know somebody who's going to be on the ice, who's going to develop into somebody who's going to hit people, who's not afraid to hit people, who's going to be on the ice all the time. He's going to be moving his way up the depth chart. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. I didn't throw my guys away at the end of the year that were scoring points for a reason. I want to not score points. I want to get young guys, probably lose again next year, and get more draft picks, or trade some of the guys away that are older, that are, okay, might win somebody else's championship, but not me. And then draft more guys like this. Liam Bichsel and another guy, Marty Beniers. Like, those are the 2 guys I want to talk about now, because I just think these guys are both young. Beniers been in the league a couple of years now, so a little different than Bichsel. Bichsel, this is he's played a little bit last year, but that's it. But I just think that, man, I like that. There's a lot of guys. When I look at my roster, my team, I got Michael Misa, who is probably my best pickup from last year. I know that's someone who I think is going to a contributor right from day one. He's probably going to be with San Jose right from the get-go and scoring points and getting out there. And I don't need a guy who's just going to beat everybody up all the time either. I do want people who score points. I do want people with assists. I do want people that play on all the power play lines. I do that. And then, later in the first round, I drafted a guy named Carter Bear, which, me and JT kind of were like, he was kind of mad about it. But I don't think Carter Bear is going to be a contributor right away. And that's okay, because he's in my minor league team, which, if you don't know, if you guys didn't show how the roster makeup is here, it's like a taxi squad. You got you guys on, in a fantasy hockey lineup. You got all your, what we do here is we got our forwards, and, I used to play with a center and 2 forwards and 2 defensemen, and then a bunch of, flex players, which they're called skaters in the NHL. But so a roster is made up with a whole bunch of like skaters and forwards who are, they could be either a center or a wingman, or they just call forwards here, which it's different for me. I had to learn a little bit to kind of get in this league as far as the work. The biggest thing about these leagues is you got to know the scoring. You got to know how the roster's set up, and you got to know the scoring, like any league. If you draft guys because you're your favorite players in the NHL, but they don't do what scores you points in hockey, this is fantasy. It's not real hockey. So you're drafting what gets you points in your fantasy hockey league. I love that. And like Liam Bichsel, I think that he's going to be someone in the long term who's going to be on my roster for years. I think he's going to be scoring points, blocking shots, hitting people. The fights, you don't get points for fighting. You don't get, that's all you get is sitting in the penalty box for a couple minutes. And that doesn't help anybody. But, it's nice to see somebody go out there who's not afraid to, yuck it up a little bit too. So I like Liam Bichsel. Just tell me, you guys, anybody could chime in here. What do you think about that Liam Bichsel, addition I made last year?
Yeah. So John, in a bangers league, great addition. He's not going to score you many points. You knew that, right? When you actually drafted him, he's not going to get you goals, assists. That's not the type of player he is, but he's going to get you hits, and a ton of them, blocks as well. And 21 years old, he's actually doing that right now. He's going to be a big part in a bangers league. He can actually be a staple in your lineup for years, So I like that. You just don't always actually have in a dynasty league to actually go after the guys, hit goals and assists and shots on goal, especially when we actually count PIMs, blocks and hits, and that's knowing your settings, right? Knowing your scoring, knowing exactly how you actually want to do that. So great explanation there. We got John Martinie actually just showed up. John, I know you were having some technical difficulties. I want to hear from you as well. John Martinie is also a long-time member of our home league, of our dynasty league as well. So John, want to hear from you on what players on your roster may not be the exact, like the high name everybody actually knows, but guys you're actually counting on that you actually want to promote a little bit. And we'll see if John was having some, John was actually having some technical difficulties. So let's see.
No, we can't hear you.
Yep. So while we're actually waiting for,
you're on mute.
Yeah, he'll jump back in when he can. I was actually going to say, John McGlynn here, the Misa pick. You're welcome. I gave him to you. We just talked about it in the last segment with our guest Victor. He did not totally trash me for skipping on Misa and taking my guy, but you're welcome for that. I'm a friend. Just remember that. You owe me a shot next time I see you. But it's good. Hey, we're great to have you back in the league. It's been fun getting you back in, you in our Dynasty league. It's been fantastic trying to get everybody back in, trying to do new things. Toast, we got our listeners league. We just started. So if anybody who's watching now and has not been in fantasy hockey and is interested in getting into a new league, our league is filled this year. But get a hold of us if you're interested in getting in a league next year. The listeners league. We like to get new people in the league. People have never tried it. Try to get things like worked out. It's a free league. But we do have a prize from Trophy Smack, our friends over at Trophy Smack. It's going to be an awesome prize for the winner of the league. We got to make sure Aaron Tometich does not win it. He can't get it. He can't get it. He's already talking smack. He can't get it now. Now it's team everyone against Aaron Tometich to not win the league. But it's going to be a great prize. But if you are interested in getting a hockey league and have not been in one, get a hold of us. Get any of us. You can message us, me at JT Orange. You can get a hold of Toast at Toast Clark, Aaron at Titch4141, or hit up our actual podcast page at Fifth Hockey, at FIF Hockey, and let us know you want to get in a league. We'll keep you up to date. We have openings in leagues all the time. We know a ton of people. That's one of the things I hear, Toast, from so many people is like, hey, how do I get in a hockey league? Who I don't know enough people that want to do a league. I want to get in a league. How do I get in one? We'll hook you up. We know enough people. We know openings that there's an orphan in a league or a brand new league starting. We will do our best to get you in on that. And if we have enough people to jump in and want to get involved next year, maybe we'll have 2 listener leagues. So we can always do that. So if you guys are interested, please hit us up and we'll get it going, because we want everybody to play fantasy hockey. Fantasy hockey is super fun. It's really interesting. It's right in the middle of football season. I know all of us I know here play fantasy football. Obviously, if you like fantasy football, I'm going to do my little shout out right now to Fantasy and Frames. Every Wednesday night, Fantasy and Frames has a block of fantasy football shows, so make sure you check that out. We have our Dynasty show. We have our Redraft show. We have our IDP show. Then we also have our Waiver Wire show on Mondays. We also have our DFS gambling shows on Thursdays and Fridays. So make sure, and then in the mornings, Sunday mornings, if you want to figure out who to play, who not to play, all that stuff, we have a live show every Sunday morning before the games kick off. So make sure you go over, you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Please, if you like us, give us a thumbs up, give us a nice comment, a 5-star review over at Fantasy and Frames. And we want to, again, me, Toast, Aaron, we want to thank Jorge for letting us do our hockey show on this fantasy football podcast. So it's fantasy football, but he likes us enough. He's let us kind of do our hockey thing, and he's kind of accepted it. So we just want to do a shout out to Jorge for letting us do Around the Ice here every Tuesday night during the season. So check us out every Tuesday night, where we went out early. We're doing a 3-hour live show tonight for anyone just joining us for the kickoff of hockey tonight. The puck dropped. First 3 games. We're in game 2 right now, middle of game 2. One more game coming late tonight, the Avalanche and the Kings. Right now we got Pittsburgh up 1-0 in the third period over the Rangers. We had the defending champs, the Panthers, win earlier tonight 3-2 over the Blackhawks. And then late game Avalanche versus the Kings. So if you're into fantasy hockey, regular hockey, anything hockey related, or you like to bet hockey, we got you covered. That's what we do here on Around the Ice. We cover a little bit of everything throughout the season. Head-to-head categories. We'll give you young studs coming up. We dive into the prospects. We do a little bit of everything here on the show. So please like and subscribe. Check us out.
Can I ask you a question real fast? Because JT, as you know from my fantasy football leagues, what I do first is I always have a redraft league, not a dynasty league, a redraft league, just so because some people played ESPN before, some people played Yahoo, some people played other sports platforms, and they're not familiar with Fantrax, or they're not familiar with whatever site you guys are having would it be on Fantrax, your fantasy league, your home league, or what site would it be on?
we have our home league is on Fantrax. We started on ESPN. We moved to Fantrax when we decided to go Dynasty. So we originally started as a redraft league. We switched to a 3-team. This is a great question, John. So we started as a redraft league. Then we moved it up to a 3-player keeper league. And then once everybody felt like they were really comfortable and they understood hockey, they understood the scoring, they felt like, hey, I know what's going on. Then we switched to a dynasty league. And we do that over on Fantrax. Our listener leagues on ESPN, it's a redraft league, very basic league, shorter benches. And it's a low, it's mostly a scoring league, but it's a low scoring bangers league, just so everybody can kind of get used to the format. So I think that's a great idea. Anytime you can start off with a redraft league, move it up to keeper, and then to dynasty, I think that always helps. Obviously, if you're coming into fantasy hockey and you're trying to jump into a dynasty league right off the bat, probably going to be difficult. It's going to be a lot for you to learn right off the bat. Not that you can't do it, but you're going to have to do a lot of research. You're going to have to listen to podcasts like ours, and you're going to do a lot of reading. Like we just had a couple guys from Dauber Hockey. You're going to have to jump on those pages and read a lot of articles just to make sure you get yourself up to par when your season starts. Am I correct, Toast?
Oh yeah, definitely. Again, the Dauber's the best. They have taught me so much as actually a hockey fan for life, really, that actually started doing fantasy about 10, 11 years ago. And that's been my mainstay, so just having these guests on tonight have actually been super helpful. Speaking of guys that actually have really kind of got into fantasy hockey maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago and have really just been unbelievably good ever since he's actually got into this has been John Martinie. And John, hopefully you got your technical difficulties actually out of the way and you're able to actually maybe speak on your team, but hopefully you introduce yourself, maybe also talk about your team a little bit and a couple players you actually like.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you. Yes.
Amateur hour here in the breadbasket of America, gentlemen. Omaha, Nebraska. I'm having troubles today. I apologize, but good to be on. Good to see you guys. Good to chat hockey. I don't know about you guys, but I started out my fantasy football team. My fantasy football season 0-6. So I pared it all the way down to 2 teams this year. And after week 3, I'm ready for hockey season. So let's go.
You can only go up from here, man. Yeah. You can only go up from here.
I can't. Like I said, only 2 teams. I started out 0-3. Last 2 weeks, I've kind of turned it around a little bit, but it's been a dumpster fire up to this point. But yeah, man. Like I said, as Toe said, I was 6, 7 years ago, the novice hockey player. I was a throw-in to a league. He was trying to fill up a person league there in the home league. And he knew I was a sucker, so kind of roped me in. We started on training wheels, right? He helped me out that first year, kind of learned how to navigate the left wing lock and the daily face-off and the effort that goes into it, right? You got to kind of be into it daily. And ever since then, I've been hooked. Yeah, had some good teams. Was happy to switch over to Dynasty here a year or so ago. Didn't quite make the final last year, but I like my chances this year. Got to feel like I got a good mix of young guys, old guys, and ready to compete.
Yeah, John, I remember from the draft when we actually did our inaugural Dynasty draft in our home league, what is this, year 2 or year 3? I can't remember which one. Year 3 coming up. you had a very, very good draft, and I understand whenever you get Celebrini in your draft on a 10-team minor leaguer, you've actually done very, very well. But again, just a good mixture of players from top to bottom, and I just knew that you'd actually have a good draft. You actually did. But do you have any players that you really, really like on that team that actually maybe some unsung heroes, some guys that actually kind of hang in the weeds that you really are going to be counting on here, and not only this year, but maybe in the next couple of years as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, from the jump, it's Celebrini. I took him in the 6th round of our Dynasty draft last year. Was really happy with the value I got there. So a couple studs at the top. Kind of followed a pretty conventional order there at the beginning. Got Brady Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, Rasmus Dahlin towards the top. Those are guys that are going top 3-4 rounds every draft everywhere.
Still mad you sold Dahlin for me, Martinie. Still mad about that.
I upset the apple cart. I stole Tkachuk from Toast. I'm guilty across the board, man. But no, yeah, I mean, it's you get into those middle rounds, and I really like some of the depth guys I took. Brandon Hagel, for example, I got him 8th or 9th round. He's going to be a 90-point guy this year. I know he's kind of a little banged up. The preseason brawl that is, Panthers Lightning was like 5 guys came out of that on the shelf, right? So. Brandon Hagel, another guy that's a bit of a sneaky ad for me, especially in a bangers format. Alex Tuck. I mean, he's gonna sniff 35, 36, maybe 40 goals this year. Buffalo's gonna be terrible again. It's gonna be real interesting to see what happens with Tage Thompson if he forces his way out. Much like other Buffalo Sabres before him, Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart. I mean, is he gonna continue on that pathway? He's a little bit older, but. Alex Tuck's another guy. And then I think what I'm hoping is really going to separate me, whether or not it's this year or in the next couple of years, I really love the depth of my defensive core. Kind of running down the list of guys I've got it. I starting off with Rasmus Dahlin, follow that up with Jake Sanderson, Mikhail Sergachev, Jackson Lacombe, and then I've got a couple of rookies coming up that I'm hoping see some pretty serious ice time. If you follow Dynasty hockey, follow rookie hockey prospects. You should know Zeev Buyam and Zane Parekh. I got both of them coming up through the ranks. So I like where I'm at. Again, good mix of old guys, young guys. Here we are, opening night. I'm ready for this Rangers Pittsburgh game to just finally end, put us out of our misery here. This game's awful.
After a great Blackhawks Panthers opener, this game has been awful. This game's it's been real bad. It's been real bad. I'm actually pumped though for this late game. We talked about it a lot during the betting show last week. We're all over the Avs for a lot of different things this year. I got my President's Trophy bet in. I got my Stanley Cup Trophy bet in. I think they're going to be really, really good this year. Pumped to see Landeskog get back in it. Me and Toast have him in our salary cap league, and he's just been sitting there on IR for 2 years. It feels like a decade. He's going to be coming back, so I'm pumped to see that. And the Kings have been a very surprising team. I know we talked about it last year. They kind of came out of nowhere. Really nice goaltending defensive team. So I think hopefully this late game, as we talked about earlier, the thing is I'm all over the late night hockey, the West Coast hockey. I get home from work, get off everything, get the kids to bed, throw on that 9:30, 10 o'clock West Coast hockey is the best.
And college hockey in the West Coast, or the West Coast football and West Coast hockey are just the absolute best. And you get home late from work, especially on a Friday night or a Saturday night when there's the parties are over with, everybody came home, and you're sure enough there's always a good hockey game or a good college game on a Saturday night for the West Coast on Friday or Saturday.
Absolutely. And I want to, before we actually get into maybe watching the snoozer of a game this is in the last half of this third period here, want to mention 2 players that I really, really like on John McGlynn's roster and John Martinie's roster as well. And I'll actually start with Martinie's roster there. I love Joel Eriksson-Ek. Center for Minnesota as well. He gets to play with one of the 5 or 6 best players in the world. What I love about Ek is he'll actually fill up the net with shots on goal. I think he'll get over 250 shots on goal this year. But all of that, let's say he'll get you close to 150 hits and also 60 to 70 blocks as well. A guy that just does everything, and he'll actually get 30 and 30, right? So just an unbelievable, valuable guy, 28 years old. I would actually love to have him in any format as well. And I think Erickson X is a guy that I would really actually love to have on any format.
I traded for him last year, Toast. Remember that? I traded for him. I didn't draft him. So I took Erickson Eck off of Daler for JJ Paterka and I think a second-round pick in our Dynasty draft. Happy to have him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What a move there. That's a nice trade.
It was a great trade. I'm a big fan of his, and then John McGlynn. So you actually have a player that honestly I really can't believe I'm actually going to talk about, but I'll talk about because he's a blue. But Jake Neighbors, Neighbors is in my mind the real deal, and he has a lot of the same qualities, even though he's actually not playing the same position as Erickson Eck. A guy that is only 23 years old. Get you close to 50 points so far. Hits a lot. He'll get 150, 160 hits, 180 about 50, 60 blocks as well. PIMs, they're there. The only thing I actually want to see out of Jake Neighbors is more shots on goal. Right now, he actually only had 122 shots on goal last year, shot 18%. The year before that, 145 shots on goal, shot 18% as well. I mean, how about you shoot close to 200 times on goal? That would be awesome. And it still shoot 18%. Because those goals and assist numbers are just crazy good already. They could be even better. And with those hits, 173 of them last year with 56 blocks. It's just for a bangers league and even a light bangers league, Jake Neighbors is doing it, man. And in a dynasty league as well, 23 years old. I mean, that's a guy you can actually staple to and actually, pin your roster to. So those are two guys that really stand out to me on your guys' rosters.
Yeah, Neighbors got to move up on the lines in the third line right now, so he's got to, get a little more time in, but it's all right. It's not again. It's players that I like a lot, but he's only 23 years old. He's a young kid. That's perfect for a rebuild. I got time to let him develop a little bit. So I appreciate you talking good about him because he's somebody I do like a lot. He's one of those players that's just gonna develop into my championship caliber roster in a couple of years, and so I can go back to back in this league for years to come.
I love the confidence of John. John's like, I'm going back to back.
And look at McGlynn. Look at Will Cooley tonight. I mean, so snoozer of a game. Although Silvos has been amazing. You've been watching this guy making saves on Pittsburgh. Here, early potential for a goalie for goalie pickup.
Dude, he's a stealer. He's a steal right now. I mean,
this
is not the guy.
He's got to be a free agent in 100%.
We did not expect him to be the guy for Pittsburgh. He's looking fantastic. No. This is like week 1 waiver wire pickup right here. I mean, this is the guy. If you need goalie help, if you snoozed on goalie in your draft, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to wait to the end and grab somebody late. This might be a nice pickup right here.
Yeah. It's the one high point out of the game, I'd say, and the saves he's made are good shots. This is Panarin trying to score. This is JT Miller trying to score, and he's stopping him. But yeah, McGlynn, I shout out to you for Will Cooley. 8 hits tonight, block shot. He's almost 5.9. He hasn't even sniffed the puck. That's the Banger League. That guy defines a Banger League. So I think that's the guy. You're going to just have that solid 5-point game out of him your whole career, whether you're rebuilding or you're defending a title, whatever. Will Cooley will probably be on your team forever. And if I was Martinie, I love Liam Ogren, 21 years old. They just put him down to the AHL, but we talked about it. I think it was when Victor was on, and he was talking about how AHL is a man's league. It's right behind the NHL. In the AHL, Liam Ogren, point per game player. He played with men. He played on a line 1. Matter of time before he cracks the lineup, and he stays with Minnesota. So you got a ton of Minnesota Wild on your team, but they're all the up and comers. I love it. So I shout out to Ogren. I'm excited about him.
So Minnesota Wild is my home network, right? Like living in Omaha, Minnesota. I get Minnesota Wild. I get, Colorado Avalanche, and that's about it. There's nothing else for 500 miles. So I gotta jump on the home teams a little bit. Similar comment, Aaron. I got Maverick Bork sitting on my roster. He's been a guy. He did what Ogren is going to do this year. He kind of bounces up and down between the AHL and the big club. Right now, Maverick Bork's on line 2 in Dallas. And if he sticks there, and if he can hold on there, I mean, there's going to be some found value there real quick, real early this season. So that's the idea. That's the whole point of these dynasty leagues is to try and latch on to guys, follow them, hope for good line deployment, hope they play with superstars, and here we go.
Absolutely.
We were in the process of actually trying to put together a late night bet here for the game. Now that LA game in Colorado is going to get started at 9:50 Central, so you got time. It was supposed to be 9:30, as always, right? These games are going to go a little bit over. They're going to be delayed a little bit, so 9:50 that gives you a little bit more time. But I think was our remaining time here. We need to watch this game here. Actually figure out exactly who's going to win this game. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh, 8 minutes left. The Rangers have actually just been awful tonight. And I say awful because Pittsburgh is not this good defensively, right?
Yeah.
But we also, as a group, need to put together a late night parlay, right? So maybe look at your phones, see who you actually like. Let's put together maybe a 4 or 5 legger for maybe around like plus 1,500, plus 2,000, and actually have a little bit of fun with it.
On this
All right,
game,
I'm
or are you
gonna
talking
jump-
about Colorado game?
Next game.
Colorado Kings game.
Next game.
As Kings game. So here, I've got a couple I like up front. You guys tell me what you like. We'll put one together. We'll do a group bet. Nothing better than the group bet here. So we'll do a team one. I like McCarr plus 4 shots. Me and Toast already have a bet in for that at plus 165. Nathan McKinnon, 2+ points is plus 125. And Natchez, who I know is Tish's guy, 1+ point is minus 165. Those 3 legs right now are plus 490. I like those 3. If anybody has anything else they want to add to the mix, let me know because I'm feeling the itch. I'm going to put that in there. I feel like we're going to get a nice late game hit here.
Aaron, you mentioned Drew Doughty at over 1.5 blocks at minus 105. I definitely think that needs to be a part of this, correct?
We're going to try to check that. So I will say, Toast, I looked this up earlier. Dang you, DraftKings. They would not let me add the blocks to the parlay. So we'll try. I tried to put the 1.5 blocks for Drew Doughty to the parlay, and it blocked me earlier. Maybe it will happen now. We can try it. But before it said this, you can't do this parlay. I looked at it, and it said I couldn't add blocks, which is ridiculous. But it would not let me. We can still try it. I'll try to put it in, but it blocked me earlier.
That may be like that score sheet type, like you gotta show up
So I think's the deal here, and I'll tell you this, Aaron. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
It's like NFL bets when you try to put in defensive player tackles. A lot of times they won't let you put defensive props with certain offensive props in a parlay. It's weird. Like there's times where I try to put like a sack prop in with the offensive props, and they were like, no, can't do it. They will not let me add sack props to a parlay. I have to take the sack props by themselves. And I'm wondering if the same thing is happening here with hockey, where the block props have to be taken solo, no parlay allowed with those props. So something I have to look at, but that's been a thing that's burned me a couple times in the past. I can usually get tackle props in NFL, but if I try to do any kind of sack prop, a lot of times they block me from putting in a parlay. So it just kind of depends. So we'll try to look at that, Drew Doughty, see if I can add it again. When I tried to do it earlier, it would not let me do it, but let me see if I can add it in.
Yeah, while you're looking at that, I still like the Kings, the puck line after the first period, just because Colorado sucks on the road. Well, at least they did last year. What do we know? It's game 1. Oh, gosh, I don't know. I feel silly saying that, though. They're such a good team, such a high quality. I still think the Kings are going to slow them down. They'll be defensively. They'll smother them. Colorado will win this game. They'll get going, but not out of the gate. So I'm going to stick with
What
that.
do we think about Kemper's saves?
I hate goalie bets. No,
I know you guys hate goalie bets. I was like, is Colorado going to put up 1 million shots and he's going to get a ton of saves? That's what I was wondering on that one.
Did he ever play? He never played for them. He's played for everybody.
I feel like he's played for everybody else in the league.
I know. He's one of those guys. He's a journeyman for sure.
You gotta like the Kings actually really compete with with Colorado tonight. I do like Colorado to actually get their points, get their shots on goal as well. But Anze Kopitar to actually be on that top line with Kempe, who is a shooter. He actually shoots the puck.
Yeah.
An assist for him is plus 120. I would think that if any parlay we actually want to put together, so far I actually have. The 3 legs so far is Cale Makar, 4 shots on goal, Nathan McGlynn, 2 points, and also Anze Kopitar at 1 assist. That's at plus 1,000 so far. So we might be able to actually add another leg or 2.
Yeah, Serge, Toast, if we dig that, I've got that 4+ for Makar shots, McKinnon 2 points. We take Kapitar plus 1 point assist, 1 assist for Kapitar, and you take Natchez 1 point. It's plus 1,200.
Yeah, Natchez 1 point is probably actually good considering if McKinnon's going to actually score 2, then Natchez going to actually have 1, right? So I'm good with that as well. I mean, just for a point, right? An overall point would actually be really, really good. What else you guys actually like to add to this thing?
Gabriel
build this thing.
Landeskog with a 1.5 shots on goal. I mean,
Yes.
he's second team power. He's second team center power play, and he's on the second line on a left wing also. So he's going to be on the ice some. And Landeskog's a big part of the offense.
Yeah, he's their captain. Been out for a long time. You would imagine this is his first game. Now, he actually did play in the playoffs last year, but this is his first regular season actually back. And I mean, 3 years? So you got to think he's actually going to want to make a big impact here right away. So the 1.5 shots on goal, I could definitely get behind that as well.
Yeah, the big difference on him right now is the 1 shot on goal is minus 800. 2 shots is minus 170. So we get 2 shots on goal, add Landeskog to that mix. That gets us up to plus 1,800.
Oh, I like that number.
Big money. You're going to Sizzler.
I'm feeling pretty good about this. I like this. Makar plus 4 shots. McKinnon 2+ points. Natchez 1 point. Kapitar assist. And Landeskog 2 shots. Right now, 5-pick parlay on DraftKings plus 1,800.
Yeah, I like it, but let's keep this in mind. LA actually they allowed the second least amount of shots on goal in the entire league last year. Now, Colorado, on the other hand, actually had the 4th most shots on goal in the league as well. So something's got to cancel out, right? I mean, and I would, again, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, I don't care who they're actually playing. They're going to get their shots. They're going to. But what worries me a little bit is basically out of 4 out of those 5 are actually Colorado parlays, on the offensive side as well. And knowing just how good LA is at actually home. But it's opening night. Let's have a little bit of fun. You don't have to take your mortgage out and actually, mortgage the home on it. So 1,800, put $10 on it. You get $180. I like it. I like it a lot.
Toes, I was going to laugh.
Can I throw one into the mix?
Colts game the other night. Colts Raiders game. We had the Colts Raiders game the other night, and I was like, man, I knew I loved the Colts today. I had them on Survivor. I think what does my son Walker say? Dad, you should put everything on it. It's like, been listening to me too much. He's like, I should have put $1 million on it.
Should have put $1
million on it. Should have done it.
Now, John Martinie, did you actually have a leg to add in this thing?
Just think about it, right? Like he's kind of an right? Like he's Brock Nelson, second line center, but who's he playing with? He's playing with Landeskog. He's playing. I mean, he's going to be PP1, kind of PP2. He's going to be both for Brock Nelson for a point, minus 102 on FanDuel.
Oh, that
a point, assist, something, anything. I don't know. I think Nelson's going to have a. He's going to have a sneaky good year.
If you had Brock Nelson,
Colorado's needed
a point in this. We're talking about Brock Nelson, right? Oh yeah. And a point.
Yeah, Brock Nelson.
Plus 360.
He's the 2C. He's the 2C on a team that's going to just score a ton of points this year. He's going to be a sneaky fantasy guy this year.
I like that call. You know,
JT,
they're-
say again. What is that? John Martinie, what is his 1 point?
I just got Brock Nelson.
no.
I'm okay.
I'm on
I got
FanDuel.
first period. I was like, that. There's no way that makes sense. They had Brock Nelson.
I got 1 point minus
160, but it was
Yeah, that's
first
not it.
period point. I was like, whoa, that's like something. I'm glad we talked that through because I was like, that's like something's really crazy about that. So here on FanDuel, I'm glad you said something. On DraftKings right now, Brock Nelson for over half a point is minus 110. So if we add him to the mix in this parlay, I'll see what we got going here. Oh, they're trying to fight me now and tell me I can't put some of these. Oh, they're not going to let me put Brock Nelson half a point. I got to adjust it. Go ahead, Toes. I'm gonna see if I can figure out a way to put Brock Nelson in this and not get it denied by.
Everybody's got 1.5
DraftKings.
block shots on here. Who do you think leads the pack with block shots tonight?
Well, that's Dowdy, but they're just not letting us actually do the parlay on that. So for sure, yeah. I was actually building my parlay and it's got kicked out. Like the entire app just kind of went down. I'm actually building it back up here again.
You're going to win too much money.
Well, yeah, exactly. But we need to recap this here. We got McGlynn at 2 points. We got Brock Nelson at a point. We got Anze Kopitar at an assist. We have Gabe Landeskog at over 1.5 shots on goal. And I believe the other one was Martinie, right, at a point. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We're missing one. We're missing actually one here.
To see if you can
Did you say
get
Kale
this in.
McCarr shots?
Kale McCarr shots on goal. There you go.
I'm in here right now, and it might just be me on the computer, but it's blocking me parlaying it. It wants me to only let me do single game plays on this.
Yeah, I got a six legger locked in here right now, so it's basically
Lock it in. Let me tail it.
Yep. So at plus 3,100. So we actually got that right here, but basically we got Landeskog 2 shots on goal, McCarr 4 shots on goal, Natchez a point, Nelson a point, Kopitar an assist, and McGlynn 2 points, plus 3,100.
Sweet.
Makes for a good week.
And we actually have a 3-0 game here as a product of the empty net. So
Brazil with a second goal, and then Blake Lazat.
All of a sudden we talk smack and a bunch of goals happen, right? We didn't even know what was going on.
Waiver wire pickout. Waiver wire pickup.
Who's got the number one waiver wire order? And who do you pick? Do you pick Silvos or do you pick Brazil? Who knows? I guess we'll find out.
Pittsburgh. This is smoke and mirror. Pittsburgh is going to be so bad. They are going to be so bad this year.
100%.
So bad.
Yeah.
Although New York, this is not a good sign.
I've got them out of the playoffs. I didn't even need to see to know they're not a playoff team.
Yeah, man.
Nothing makes me happier than seeing Pittsburgh square. It'd just be terrible when they swept the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was the worst. I'm like,
is there what's the? Can we find a betting market for Crosby being traded? Like where it's got to happen, right? Like it's a foregone conclusion. He's not going to end the season in Pittsburgh.
That's what
Colorado's the rumor. Colorado's a rumor. I mean, but then again, they're just rumors, right? But it'll be interesting to see. And not only is he actually could be moved, but the contract has always been so friendly, right? Aaron, you've mentioned a million times, $8.7 million for his number 87, and a player that good, and it doesn't matter how old he is, he's still really, really good. It's such a great contract to actually take on as well. I mean, so and Pittsburgh actually needs picks. They need picks. They have a lot of actually work to do. So they would actually be on the. I think this is only a 1-year deal, so they would retain a heck of a lot, right? And actually just get those picks. So it just makes a lot of sense for him to actually be moved in the event if that's what he wants, right?
All right, I was able to get the bet in. I had to jump off my computer and get on my phone. I don't know why. It was like blocking me. It was like, nah, we don't want to let you parlay. We're only going to let you take single bets. But I love that bet, fellas. I love that bet for late. You know what? Nothing's better than watching late night hockey and then having money on the line. It's just the best. It's the best way to end the night. Just like get all fired up, like maybe get a hit. It'd be fantastic. So I like that one we put together. I like Martinie. I like that last throw in there. I think that's a great last piece.
He's our resident Colorado guy. If that's all you get over there, that's it's good to know. We got an insider.
Now, but see, here's the problem, guys. I live in a free state. Nebraska is one of 6 or 7 states that I can't place an online bet. I can't FanDuel. I can't anything. I got to drive across the border to Council Bluffs, Iowa to place a bet. It's awful.
It's wild, dude. I talk about this all the time. I forget about it because Illinois has been one of the few states that's had sports betting for years and years. And then I'll get on like Discord, I'll get on Twitter, and I'll talk to people, and they're like, yeah, I can't bet on this. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, I can only take a game. I can't take player props. I'm like, I thought this was America. I thought we were free. Like, what are we doing? You can bet on one thing, but not the other stuff because that's too. What are we doing? This is ridiculous.
I can open carry at the come and go gas station, but I can't place a bet on my phone. It's like what
Absolutely.
What's going on here?
The Indiana people got to drive to Illinois to make bets, but we got to drive to Indiana.
Oh, they used to, John. They used to. We used to on the way to Colts games. I kid you not. There was an exit right before we crossed the border. We would pull over, put all our NFL bets in on the way to the Colts game because as soon as we crossed the line, it wouldn't take any of our bets. Luckily, now Indiana does have sports betting, so when I'm at the game, I can actually put bets in. But like, we used to have to stop. Like literally, I remember one time we drove past it, not realizing, and we turned around. We're like, we're gonna be late for the game. We're like, no, screw it. We like turned around and went back so we could put bets in before the game started. It was ridiculous.
Why has no one opened up like a sports book right on the border of 74? Like you catch that traffic, you catch all the guys leaving Illinois to go that way, and you just got to strategically plot out where to put them and just get a sports.
Well, they finally changed it. Now you can do it in Indiana, and they actually have casino in Indiana now. So now you're good. You're good to go now. And my cousin lives in Ohio. He was like, dude, we didn't have sports betting. I'm like, what are you talking about? They got it last year. I have a bunch of friends in Missouri because I used to live in Missouri. They haven't had it. I'm like, this is crazy. I remember just driving down to St. Louis, going to like Cardinals games, and I'm like, going to put in something. I'm like, what is going on? They're like, oh, not. I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. What world are we living in?
JT, it's to the extreme out here, right? So Omaha is on the west side of Omaha, Council Bluffs, same metro area, right? And they're separated by the Missouri River. You drive across the river from Omaha into Council Bluffs, there's a whole bunch of casinos, that first exit. There's actually, like during the NFL season, there is actually traffic police on the off ramp as you come into Council Bluffs because people are doing exactly that. They're driving across the border, placing their bets, getting on the loop and coming back into Omaha. It's ridiculous. And they actually have traffic police that are assigned to the Sunday morning duty. Come on.
Well, here's my big thing. It's like they act like they're stopping people. Like, no, what are you doing? Like the people that are gonna bet. Like, what are you doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy. It's just absolute. It's insane. But I mean, come on. It's 2025 in America. Like, we have casinos all over this country, and you're telling me we can't have legalized sports betting in every state? Like, what's happening? It's ridiculous.
Hey, in between games, can we do a quick roundtable on the Stanley Cup futures?
Actually, yeah, let's do it right now. Let's jump in. Let's jump on this bet because we talked about it on the on our betting show last week. We pulled out some of our favorite bets. I will tell you before we get in the overall Stanley Cup bet, Toast found the greatest bet. I love this bet. I put it in. It's the biggest long shot, but man, I freaking love it. Toast found, what was it? Jets and Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck to win the Calder, and then the Jets to win the Stanley Cup plus 10,000 or plus 100,000.
Yeah, so it is actually on FanDuel. I'm sorry, on DraftKings. It is Hellebuyck to actually win the MVP, which very doable. right? And then also the Jets actually win the Stanley Cup. That's plus 100,000. And if you're just going to put in some lotto bet picks, you should put that one in because am I mistaking? Didn't Hellebuck actually win the MVP last year?
He did. I was like, I love this. 100,000.
And are the Jets maybe good enough to actually win the entire thing? Why wouldn't you find some quarters and some dimes and stuff in the cushions of your seats and the couch or your car and place $1 down there? I mean, yeah, it was a little shocking. That was 100,000.
Why wouldn't you? What do you got to lose? You know.
I put $10 on it. So, you know,
I threw $10 on it as well, Toast. I was like, hey man, I'm plus 100,000. I was like, let's make something happen here.
One other one I actually liked, and John, I'm glad you actually brought this up. And we talked about this with Peter Harling, and Peter actually agreed. It's like this is a no-brainer as well. The goals, McDavid over 38.5 at minus 115. Yeah. That's a given. They got that mislabeled. Again, if you had equity on the house and you weren't actually worried about it, whatever, and you just had more money you actually know what to do with, that's an easy one. Take out a loan, actually put that down there. He's already said he's going to come out and score a lot. He's going to shoot the puck a hell of a lot more this year. 38.5 is stupid low at minus 115.
Yep. I'm angling for a homer bet, guys. The reason I brought it up, Minnesota Wild plus 2,700 Stanley Cup future, right? They're going to make the playoffs. Right, here's my theory on Minnesota Wild. They got Kaprizov on the big contract. Joel Eriksson X is healthy. Zeke Williams going to win the Calder. Maybe that's maybe not such a hot take, but he's going to be in the running. I think at the top of the Western Conference, I think Edmonton is vulnerable. I appreciate McDavid's contract. I think that they're just, 2 years running, 3 years running, they've just been in the hunt for so long. 7-game series, anything can happen. I feel similarly about Colorado. Colorado, in my opinion, they're very high. It's a high end. Top two lines are as good as they get. But what do you have in line 3 and line 4? I don't know. I think Minnesota's got a little bit more depth. The road to a Stanley Cup championship is easier for Minnesota than a lot of other teams. At plus 2,700, I love a little sprinkle there real early in the season.
I will tell you right now, Martinie, if you want to get on DraftKings, you can get Minnesota plus 4,000 right now to win it all. It's gone up. Plus 4,000.
Excuse me, boys. I got to get in the truck and head to Council Bluffs.
I was just going to say, you got a road trip tonight.
He's like, I'm gonna Venmo you some money. Put that in for me immediately. Thank you very much. I know a big one we talked about in the show was Colorado. Right now is 4th longest odds at plus 900. I know Toast like that. I know Aaron was on that. I like Colorado and plus 900. I'm in on that one. Anybody else that's kind of jumping out to you? Like, I'll read the lines from DraftKings right now. Right now, Carolina's plus 750, Edmonton plus 800, Tampa Bay Lightning plus 850, Golden Knights plus 900, which is another one we were a fan of, plus 900 for the Avalanche. Florida Panthers, 2 times defending champs, a lot of injuries though, plus 1,000, Stars plus 1,000, Devils plus 1,300, which I think they're maybe just slightly ahead of where they're at. Toronto plus 2,000, Kings plus 2,200, Jets plus 2,500, Senators plus 3,000, Rangers plus 3,000. That's a no after watching tonight's game. Capitals plus 3,000, Wild plus 4,000, and then Aaron Tometich's Utah Mammoth plus 4,500. And we're not even going to talk about the Blues at plus 5,000. That's ridiculous. Canadians plus 5,000 after that.
I mean Dallas, you gotta. They're my pick, right? Like if I'm betting the house, it's Dallas this year. If I'm betting the vacation home, it's Minnesota Wild. If I'm betting the European chalet, it's the Montreal Canadiens plus 5,000. Those boys are on the come. They've got a lot of young talent there. Goaltending is a little bit of a question. They got a couple things to figure out on the blue line. I like Montreal though.
I do like that Montreal pick. I mean, that's a sneaky one. Dallas, I mean, we've been on Dallas the last couple of years. Man, They've just fallen short, but it's like they got the same core, the same good players, the same goalie. It's like, is this the year Dallas finally gets over the top? I do kind of like that. I think that's a sneaky good pick.
Could you imagine, just hypothetically, could you imagine Sidney Crosby in Montreal? I know Colorado is the pick. I know Colorado is the trendy, landing spot. But if we're talking assets and leverage to trade for him, Montreal's got to be in consideration, right? Like they've got a great young core. Make a move. Let's push all your chips to the middle of the table. Come on.
And there's no better market in all of hockey, right, than Montreal. So, what a rabid fan base. That would be amazing. You'd actually probably have Nick Suzuki as the center one because he's actually been on that team and he's the leader. But then Crosby at center two. That would be awesome. I'd love to actually see that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, imagine if they actually end up putting like a healthy Patrick Laine with a Sid Crosby as well. I mean, a healthy, right? Let's just say that again, healthy. So, but another guy I actually like, I really like McGlynn Celebrini, over 71.5 points. That's at actually even money on DraftKings as well. That's low. That's low. I just really think that actually be a lot higher. Really, DraftKings now is actually doing October points. I don't know if you actually noticed that, JT, but for players, they actually like to score the most points or most goals or assists, whatever it may be, in October. And I like Jack Eichel for that at plus 2,800. And the reason I do like that is the fact that Vegas has the third easiest strength of schedule in October amongst all teams as well. Colorado, another one, McKinnon at plus 650. Not as good odds, right? Plus 2,800, plus 650. Colorado has played 12 games in October, which is the second most behind Boston at 13. Shocker, they're not actually offering Pastrnak at overall October goals because of that, right? DraftKings knows better not to do that and actually offer Pasta at the most October goals because they play 13 games in October.
That was my question. How many games did they play? But you already beat me to it. That's wild.
Yeah, Toast found this the other day. This is a new thing. They did not offer this prior this year. And I do want to shout out DraftKings. Excuse me. They've added a ton of hockey bets this year that you could not get last year. There was a ton of stuff you could not bet on. It was kind of ridiculous. But they've added a lot of stuff. This October futures bet, Toast, I'm loving it. Season-long bets are great, but it's like, man, if you can hit a little early, get all that taste, get a little something to post some bets for the rest of the year. I like it. So I'm in with Toast on this. I like some of these October bets. You can get some team over under points. You can get some player points. You can get most points in October. Pretty nice. I kind of like it. Toast, another one I just want to bring up for the peoples. Our Ovechkin special bets. I know we were all over Ovechkin last year. We all hit, which was phenomenal. They have 900 career goal. They have what team he could play against to get it. Pretty interesting bet. And then you had him at over total goals. I think it was 40, right? We took the 40 plus bet on Ovechkin.
The 42.5 to actually get the record.
42.5. That's right. It was.
Yeah. So this year, the bet they actually have is a special bet on I keep saying Fantrax on DraftKings, and so it's Ovi. He is 3 goals away from 900. So who will he actually get 900th goal against? And so his first game of the season is versus Boston at home. Boston actually being down. They're kind of in that mini rebuild or whatever, and you would imagine that maybe he can get a goal there, right? But then he actually travels on away games to New York Rangers and the New York Islanders. Traditionally, 2 teams that actually stop the puck and actually do it pretty darn well and actually got good goaltending with Sorokin, Shesterkin as well. But then they actually come back home versus a Tampa Bay team for their 4th game. And Tampa Bay, as good as they actually are, they've given up goals the last year or two. They really have. So right now, the Tampa Bay game is the leading bet at plus 550. I guess the worst odds anyway at plus 550 for him to get it in his 4th game. And I have not checked Boston or the Islanders or the Rangers there, but it's an interesting bet. I kind of like it. I'll probably sprinkle on the Tampa Bay the 4th game. That makes sense. It's a home game too.
I like that one. Excuse me. Any of you guys see anything out there you like? Any extra bets you've looked at? Anything you're interested in for this season? As we're 6 minutes away, it looks like, from the Avs Kings game starting. Late night West Coast hockey, my favorite.
I am not a big gambler, so I don't really look at this stuff too much. As you know, I'm not a. I love watching the games, but I don't really put too much. Every once in a while, I'll throw a parlay on there, like just for a joke on a Sunday afternoon or something. But I'm not a big. But Toast did tell me the only way to really get to know this stuff is get to know these guys and what they're going to do and start putting bets on there, the daily bets, and the try and get some cheap parlays or cheap prop bets and stuff. So maybe I don't have to start looking into that.
It'll force you to watch a game, and you'll end up watching the entire game. It's kind of like what we joked about for years. I'm actually sitting here betting Jacksonville and Cleveland, right, in football. And I'm going to watch the whole damn game, right? And I'm like, why would I do that? And I all of a sudden actually know that a third string cornerback, which, geez. I mean, so again, hockey's no different.
Hey, Toast, just for some people that missed our betting show, let's run down the over points, over goals. Some of the bets we like from the betting show for people before we close out the show. I know we talked about like over 30, over 40, over 50, over 60 goals. Let's talk about a few of those. I've got them pulled up here on DraftKings in case I need to check it for you. But let's talk about a few of the ones we like from the main show.
Yeah, hey, John Martinie, let me know what you think about these here. So the players 20-plus goals, the one I actually had pointed out was Quinn Hughes at plus 300. He's right around there, right? And he's a guy who actually will shoot 200 times, good shooting percentage, plays like a forward. 30 goals. Dylan Holloway. Again, he's had 22 and 27 the last couple of years. He only shoots like 150 times. If he shoots 200 times, shooting 18%, he's going to actually get the 30 goals. He's there. He's 23 years old. He's projecting. That's plus 400. And then 40 goals, Cole Caulfield at 40 goals at plus 400. I think that's a steal. And then McDavid, 50 goals, plus 900. Again, the best player we're actually going to see in his prime in our generation, right? Of actually people that grow up in the 80s and actually watch hockey throughout, like one of the best, if not the best player. And for him to come out in the media and actually say, I'm shooting more, I'm actually going to score more, I'm putting emphasis on that. 50 goals plus 900. I like that a lot. What do you guys think about that?
I like Caulfield over 40 for sure. I don't see. I mean, my only concern with McDavid is, and I know it's been talked about. You guys have talked about it. It's kind of out there. Is there some sort of load management that occurs, right? Like, is he going to play a full 82 game slate? Is he going to play 75? Is he going to play 70 games? Is he going to play 70 games? He'll get 50 goals. Yeah, he's skilled enough, right? He's an all-world talent. That's my only concern, is if he starts running into any sort of, dings and bruises and off the ice for a little bit, maybe. But I love Caulfield plus 40. Dylan Holloway, I don't know. I hate the Blues. I'm sorry. It's a theme on this podcast. Everybody hates the Blues. I'm not going to root for him. I'm not going to watch any of their games. He's a banger league darling in our format, but I don't care about Dylan Holloway. Sorry. I hope he's not listening.
I just saw. I don't think he's a rookie, right? Demidov. It's 30 plus is plus 1,000 for 30 goals.
Yeah.
It's plus 1,000. I'm kind of just perusing right now. Demidov's plus 1,000. I was trying to look at some of the high end guys. Dylan Cousins plus 1,000. I just wanted to see what some guys are kind of, if anybody jumped out. Batherson plus 300. I don't think so, man. I like Batherson a lot, but I'm like, I don't know, for plus 300 at 30 plus goals. I don't know.
Yeah, whether it's actually been Pinto, whether it's been Batherson, there's been an injury issue there. I mean, for just guys to kind of stay on the ice. But if they're healthy and they're actually there for the 80-82, absolutely, for sure.
Would that be insane for Demidov to get 30 rookie year?
I don't think so. I don't think it's insane at all.
I might sprinkle 10 on that. I'm looking at it right now, Tuz. I might sprinkle a little 10 on that.
Well, if you're going to do that, and you feel really confident about it, then you'll go ahead and get him for the rookie points at plus 200 as well. So, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Double up. Yeah, double up that because I know we like that. I know we liked him rookie points as the leader there. I'm jumping on that one, fellas. Just to let you know. Boom, it's in. Anything else we like? Any other bets we want to talk about? Regular season points.
I'll
President's
go.
Trophy.
I'll go
what do you got,
little,
Martini?
little off the radar, JT. Jack Adams, Coach of the Year award. It has not been. I mean, there's a lot of options. Joel Quenneville's currently the betting favorite to be the Coach of the Year. I like John Cooper at plus 1,400. Tampa Bay Lightning. He's never won it. He's a stalwart in the league. Tampa Bay is going to be good again this year. I mean, plus 1,400, another $10.
You said for John Cooper.
John Cooper, yeah.
It's
I'm on FanDuel, so I'm on.
You're
FanDuel.
on FanDuel. It's way better on DraftKings. Right now on DraftKings, it is for Cooper is plus 3,500. You just talked me into that. You talked me into that plus 30. When you told me 1,400, I found 3,500.
Yeah, Coach of the Year. I mean, it's again Quenneville. Obviously, he's going to be kind of a flashy thing. We'll see what happens in Anaheim.
We'll see what happens. I'm heavy into Tampa Bay Lightning players for fantasy this year. Heavy. I mean, I went. We have a couple category leagues and a few other things, and I went heavy on Tampa Bay Lightning's players. Kucherov, Point, Gensel. I pounded that top line for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so I like that.
So again, back to Jack Adams, right? Who's been in Tampa's way the last 3 years? It's been the Panthers, right? It's been Florida. Florida's a little beat up, right? Kachuk's out, Barkov's out. Like at some point, they can't sustain it forever. So can Tampa Bay ascend back to that level? With that comes some other accolades. Jack Adams, John Cooper. Here we go.
I like that because Florida. We've learned, especially in hockey. Oh, such a long season. You go that whole season, then you go to the championship, and then you go to the championship again. That's so many freaking games. It's so hard. So long. Yeah, and we've already seen the injuries piling up for them. So if Tampa's going to overtake Florida, I think you're right. I think it could be that because the injuries could pile up for them finally. They're dropping the puck right now. Boom. Puck drop. Avs, Kings right now. I have to tell you, new Kings jerseys, and I'm really liking this.
Can we talk about Wedgwood for just a second? Like,
let's do it.
Wedgwood, Blackwood, what's going on? I mean, again, they're going to be a 50-50 split, right? But how does Wedgwood get the opening night start?
Blackwood actually didn't make the trip. He was a little banged up.
Oh, okay.
But great question, John, because honestly, I think it definitely would have been Blackwood for sure. And I think that's more probably a 55-45 or even a 60-40 Blackwood over Wedgwood. So, but man, what a tandem they actually had. The Woods, right? The Wood brothers, they've actually done really, really well there. They went out and got both those guys, one from Dallas and, you get Blackwood from, what was it, New Jersey? I can't remember, but I mean, you go buy your goalies, and then there you go, and now you're actually set for the future. So, and I like the fact that they actually both ended with a Wood. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
But like I was saying, look at these new Kings jerseys. I like these.
So what you see
here,
these
are throwbacks, right?
Yeah, they're throwbacks here, but also too, you look at their helmets, and it's the silver helmets. Every once in a while, the Vegas Knights will actually wear the I would say the Notre Dame helmets, right? They'll actually wear those, and then the Kings will actually wear those as well. When they play each other, they'll both wear those. So and You gotta like that, or you just gotta hate it. It's one or the other. It's very odd to actually look at.
Here's, I think, the biggest miss in the NHL is right now not wearing helmets with designs on them. Like when the Red Wings during the Stadium Series game wore the helmets with the wings on the side instead of just wearing the Meyer, whatever their corporate sponsor is on them. Oh my God. NFL and college football helmets are the best. Hockey should be just hammering these. They should be doing everything they can to have cool helmets. I'm all for these silver and gold helmets. They should have some design on these helmets. The fact that they're completely plain with one color and only a corporate sponsor on them is ridiculous to me. Like, I feel like the NHL is totally missing out on having something way cooler there. And then they could sell like mini helmets, different things with different designs. The helmets, I think they're missing out on that personally.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty important part of the uniform, especially when the other sports, especially football, actually, it's all about the helmet, right? So, I absolutely. But man, I do actually like the throwback jersey or sweater. We kept saying the sweater that they actually are wearing tonight. Pretty cool. But man, this is a little bit more of a, even though, hey, it knows goals yet, we're 3 minutes in, way more of a faster paced game. You just tell on the ice. So
this is way faster paced than
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, New York earlier. They seemed like they were going in slow mo. This game is like both these teams are coming out energized, ready to roll.
Yeah, this looks more like the Chicago Panthers game. Yeah, go ahead, John.
This is not your typical Kings game, like you said. They tend to kind of slow it down, play a little more defensively out of the back. This is abnormal, but I hope they can hang.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this again? Picard, 4 shots on goal is what we need, and we got all kinds of plays here, which is fun. It gives something to watch here from 9:30 Central to midnight, and then go to bed and actually hopefully be winners.
As we close things out, as we're coming on 3.5 hours here on the second annual opening puck drop live night here on Fantasy and Frames for Around the Ice Hockey. We want to thank our sponsors, Autotown. Talking about autotownonline.com for all your high-end used vehicles. Check them out. They're in Champaign, Illinois, but you can get cars anywhere. They can ship to you. Check out their website. They'll take care of you. If you're in the central Illinois area, check out Project 47 Smokehouse, your best in barbecue, drinks, and atmosphere. Go by, check out Fantasy and Frames. We love you for hockey content, but man, they got all the good football stuff. So every Wednesday night is our block of football. We have Dynasty Draft, our Dynasty. We have Shoot the Gap IDP. We have our Fantasy and Frame Redraft League, all the good stuff, plus many, many more shows throughout the week. Always good things there. Go like, subscribe, follow them on YouTube, Twitter, everywhere else. You can follow me at JT Orange, Toast at Toast Clark. Follow our Fantasy Hockey at Fifth Hockey. You can go to Fantasy Fifth Football to do that. Toast, final things you want to talk about here as we close out the show.
Yeah, it was a great show. This is the best time of the year for me. I'm a huge horror fan as well for movies. So we're actually in October, and I get to watch all the Halloween movies during the day, prep for podcasts as well, watch a bunch of hockey. I mean, it really is the best time of the year. So as always, love doing this. We had 2 great guests on tonight, and then we actually had more great home league guests as well. John, you've been on a couple times since like your 3rd or 4th. We're definitely going to have you on more often this year. You do a great job, great fantasy manager as well. It's going to be an exciting year. I cannot wait. Let's just hope that our teams we follow and that we actually really care about actually do something really good and take next steps this year to even make it even better, right?
I'm pumped for all the Red Wings younger players to get a shot. It's all over Red Wing Twitter. Everybody's like, oh, man, Yzerman's letting it go. He's going to let all the young guys play. So I'm pumped for that. I'm hoping, cross my fingers, to see the Red Wings finally make the playoffs after barely missing the last 2 years. I know, Tosh, you're wanting to see improvement from the Blackhawks with a chance to sign some big dogs in the next year or two. Martinie, what do you want to see coming through? I know you talked about your Minnesota Wild. What do you think about the Kaprizov signing? We didn't get to talk about it with you. We talked about it earlier in the show, but didn't get to talk about it with you.
Well, so back to how I came on. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. I'm just glad fantasy football season is over. Bring it on. I like the Wild. I'm a phantom fan of the Kraken here, so I'm following them. They need some fans, right? Like,
hey, they got an awesome logo. I love the logo. The logo is sweet.
I did the lights in the background just for the Kraken. It's going to be a great season. Ready for hockey. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know you've been at it for a long time. I'm appreciative of the fact that you're both still upright in your bar stools right now. So let's hope for a good game here, Avs Kings, and a good season, good health, and a lot of fun.
Those final words from you.
I'm done. Another live cast in the books. A great night. We're going to watch this 9:30 game and can't wait. Tune in next week. We will actually be on the air next week, Tuesday, every Tuesday, especially in the fall at 9:30 Eastern and 8:30 Central Time. And we usually go for about an hour, and cannot wait for this year to start. And so definitely tune in. Give us a like. Give us a like on at FIF Hockey, and also in our YouTube page. It's Fantasy and Frames, keeping 4 eyes on the puck. So please go there, give us a like, give us a follow. That would help tremendously.
I want to thank all of our guests that came on tonight, all of our sponsors. Thank you to Jorge for taking care of things tonight, running things behind the scenes, and giving us this opportunity to do the show. Another opening night live podcast for the drop of the puck for hockey. Man, it didn't seem like it was going to get here, and it got here real quick. Hockey season's upon us. It's phenomenal. We're pumped about it. Check us all out again. Me at JT Orange, Toast at Toast Clark, and Aaron Tometich, who had to dip out a little earlier. Our other co-host at Titch4141, and again, like us at Fifth Hockey. We appreciate everybody. John, thank you for coming on. John McGlynn, John Martinie, also all our other guests. Phenomenal night. Hockey is upon us, man. It's a great season. Check us out every Tuesday. We're going to bring you fantasy hockey betting. We're going to bring you prospect data. We're going to talk about head-to-head. We're going to talk about categories. We're going to talk about salary cap leagues. So we'll do a little bit of everything every Tuesday night here on Around the Ice on Fantasy Frames. For JT, I'm JT. For Toast, excuse me. It's been a great night. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, and we will check you next time.